goodness. Okay, do that. I need to pop. Oop, can't do it like that. Pop that chat out. My goodness. Hello, hello, hello. Let's get ourselves started this morning, shall we? I think we shall. Maybe. I can't even find my. There I am. I was like, I can't even find myself on my backup. That's terrible. Thank you so much, Peter, starting it off. Waiting 5 ever? I've been waiting 5 ever. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you wait, Mia. Oh my goodness. Good morning. All right. Gotta shake off the weekend. I'm tired. Good morning. Let's make sure we start tapping over here on TikTok. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button for me, please, so we can get started. The answer is yes. I don't have a basement, so we'd have to figure something out. But should do some karaoke. I love karaoke. Love it. Hey. I'm tired. Give me money, my rent is due. I don't pay rent. I have a mortgage that I share with 4 other adults. So, yeah. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Shake off the weekend. It's back to grind time. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And let's get ourselves started. If you're watching over here on TikTok, will you please tap that screen for me? I would appreciate if we start tapping that screen. We like to hit 50,000 likes within the top of the hour. I know you guys can hit 100,000. I'm kind of shooting for 100,000. Now, to be honest with you, 50,000 is not enough. I know you guys can hit that 300,000 before I end today, so let's start working on that, okay? Tap those fingers, thumbs, index fingers, whatever fingers you use, and get those taps up and going, please. I would appreciate it. Share the live out. Repost it now. We're trying to solve this issue that we have been having. In regards to showing videos, I'm hoping that I cropped it enough now. I don't know. We'll see. God knows. So repost it now before I start showing stuff on the screen. Add it to your story. Share it to 5 of your friends. I would appreciate it so very, very, very much if you did that. It just helps push us out onto that algorithm on TikTok. We have had an issue with viewership lately. For those of you who are always here, thank you so much. I appreciate you for being here every single day, Monday through Friday. But men be on, and for some reason, men take up the majority of the algorithm on the misogynistic ass TikTok. So we need to help push me out there. So share me in all of the ways, please. I would appreciate it. Do your daily heart me if you have not done so. That also does help push us onto that algorithm. The more daily heart me's that we have completed, right next to my name, there should be a heart next to there, obviously, because you're following me already. If you're not, what are you doing? Please follow me. And if your heart's grayed out, I'm really disappointed in you. But hit that heart, hit send your daily heart me. It does give you access to stickers in the chat that you get to use. I think I put it back. I thought I fixed it. I don't know how it got deleted. I did. I put Keyline back. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know why it was gone, but I did fix it. So it gives you access to stickers like that one in the chat that you can use if you send you daily heart me. I was just going to say we have the roses goal, but we do not. Thank you so much to Peter for that. I appreciate that. So we are going to get this to a different 1 coin gift. There we go. Ice cream cone. Biden's ice cream. You know, he loves them. So we'll do that. So guys, keep completing those goals out. We should have a refreshed gift gallery. So if you click my profile picture and hit C for gift gallery, it should pop up for you. Everything that is grayed out are things we need to try and light up this week. I know that it gets harder every single week if we keep increasing, but it seems like we are at the same rate as we were last week. So thank you, Peter, for hitting those roses. We need finger hearts, donuts, hat and mustaches. We start getting into the more expensive gifts, but if you have TikTok change that you would like to use to start lighting up, thank you so much, Mia, for the fireworks like that. Lighting up the gift gallery. It is refreshed and brand new. Let's start getting that going, please. I would appreciate it. If you are watching over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button for me, please. I know that I have a lot of friendlies over there, and sometimes and most of the time I get a lot of, thank you so much, Queen, for the money gun. Thank you. We get a lot of MAGA over there as well. I go into this, yes, looking to have conversations. That's why I have the number on the screen. I have conversations with Trump supporters based off of factually based evidence and not your feelings. But if you are too cowardly to call me, or if you don't have the time because capitalism keeps you busy as it is meant to do, hitting that thumbs up does help push us onto the algorithm for maybe people who are able and have the time to have a conversation with me. So please do that over there on YouTube. I would appreciate it. You can subscribe, you can become a member, you can send jewels, and you can send super chats. In case the chat starts going by too fast and you have something you really, really, really would like me to read, whether it's a hate message or not, then send it as a super chat. It does help to support me and also make sure that I read it. If you're watching over on Twitch, hello, lovelies. I see you. Dark Eagle, Dragon's Celt, Red Panda Girl, good morning. If you guys are not following me, please do so. You guys can also subscribe over there. It gives you access to emotes in the chat that are similar to the stickers that I have over here on TikTok. And you can send bits over there as well. Guys, also, start of a brand new week. Let's do it again. I have 150 left in my goal. This is my job. This is what I do for a living. This is how I pay my bills. So please, let's pay for women's labor on this platform and make sure that we are crowdfunding for that. Dollar Train, $2 Train, $5 Train. I have on for 3 hours. That's $50 an hour. I think we can get that accomplished. I know you guys can because you guys do it and I appreciate it so much. So Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link tree in my bio across all 3 platforms. That gets us going. Okay. Let's get started. I'm not going to turn the phone line on quite yet. I just want you to be aware because I would like to get through our midterm Monday portion. Now, I kind of went over a midterm Monday on a Friday in regards to the Michigan race. It's not going any better for Haley Stevens, it doesn't seem. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean she's going to win that primary tomorrow, but she just keeps getting caught up in lies, and that seems to be an issue for her. But let's go over in general some more elections as midterm season starts coming around here. All right, so again, I tried to crop it because TikTok's being TikToky. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we get to here. So I don't know how much of it you can see. What, 2 of them? Okay. Arkansas. Arkansas, you have a special general election for Arkansas House of Representatives District 44 special election tomorrow. Iowa, you have local elections tomorrow. Kansas, you have your entire primary. You have your statewide primary tomorrow in Kansas, so make sure you're getting out to vote if you have not already. Kansas, you also have special primary elections for the State Senate District 24 and also State Senate District 25. So if you live in District 24, District 25 for your state senator, you have special primary elections tomorrow as well. This is the one we talked about on Friday, but Michigan, you have your statewide primary, specifically, obviously, we were talking about the Senate race. That's the big contentious heated one, but Michigan statewide primary is also tomorrow. Michigan, if you are in Wayne County Commission District 5, you have a special primary election as well. Missouri, Kayla. Missouri, you have your statewide primary election tomorrow if you have not voted already. And in Missouri, special primary for Platte County Treasurer as well tomorrow. Oregon, you have a recall election in Jefferson County tomorrow. Virginia, you have your statewide primary election tomorrow. We know that that is also a big deal. Make sure you are paying attention if you haven't voted already. Washington State, you have your statewide primary election tomorrow as well. And you also have a special primary. I'm not sure exactly what that entails, but it is there. You're tired of voting. Nothing changes. I'm done. Don't give up the power that you have. Change is not immediate. There is not this. I honestly think social media has rotted our brains for this immediate gratification that we feel like we need. I promise you that if voting didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying to take it away from you. They wouldn't be trying to take it away from you if it didn't matter. So it seems to matter. I know it's frustrating. I know you're tired. I am also tired. But they wouldn't be trying to take it if it didn't mean anything. Don't give up your power. Then what? Then you're just going to complain that nothing changes and you didn't even try? Okay. Tennessee, Davidson County General Sessions Court Division 6 special general election on the 6th. Tennessee, we have a lot for Tennessee on the 6th, okay? So Shelby County Criminal Court special general election, Shelby County General Sessions Court special general election. Tennessee, you have your statewide primary on the 6th, which is interesting. I didn't know that's, most of the time it's on Tuesday, so that was interesting to me. Tennessee judicial and local general elections August 6th, but what we're going to pay attention to specifically is we need to do this, right? You need to vote. I know Tennessee is very, very difficult. I know they've gerrymandered the fuck out of that place. And speaking of voting and issues and way of voting, they have split up these fucking cities now to try and make it easier for Republicans to keep winning and make it harder for progressives to advance. But they didn't want to do it on my birthday. Good for them, Blue. They didn't. Just pay attention. Please. Tennessee 30th. Why did they write it like that? I mean, that's correct, but why? Tennessee 30th Circuit Court Special General Election is the 6th. Tennessee 30th District Chancery Court Special General Election is the 6th. You have the Tennessee 20th. Why didn't you write 30th like this? I don't. But then you wrote it like, okay. Okay, Ballotpedia, what are we doing? Tennessee 20th Judicial District Criminal Court Division 3 and Tennessee 20th Judicial District Circuit Court Division 3 special general election on the 6th as well. And then we have 3 more. Delaware, you have local elections on the 8th. That's going to be Saturday. Hawaii, apparently your statewide primary election is Saturday, which is something I haven't heard of very often, but okay, go Hawaii. And then Hawaii, you have a special primary for Hawaii State Senate District 19 special election. Can you guys see that? Okay, yeah. Okay. And then it gets into next week, which we will cover next week. No consistency. I don't understand it. But, sure. Thank you so much for the jewels. I appreciate you. Okay. Done with that. Shall we get into the news? Shall we? I'm gonna hydrate. Everybody take a drink. I gotta reset my goal. And then we can get started with the newsy news. Let's do another. Ooh, chili peppers. I just pick what it looks like, the amount that I need. It's fine. We don't talk about it. It's okay. Vote blue, more fraud for you. That's cute. That was cute, Brad. Did you come up with that by yourself? It was cute. Anyway, speaking of fraud, let's get into this here today, shall we? All right. Blanche rescinds fund for Trump allies after GOP senators threaten to block his attorney general bid. Okay, let's get into some of this. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche issued a formal order late Sunday terminating President Donald Trump's $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund to compensate his political allies, a move that follows weeks of negotiations with two Republican senators who were blocking his nomination to become Attorney General. A spokeswoman for Texas, Senator John Cornyn, one of the senators holding up Blanche's nomination, confirmed the deal, which comes ahead of a Tuesday confirmation vote for Blanche's nomination in the Senate Judiciary Committee. The other GOP senator, North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis, did not have an immediate comment. Now, I want to see what Thom Tillis says because we're going to get into this. John Cornyn blinked, and John Cornyn blinked hard. And I don't understand quite why yet. Thank you, Rude Mark, for the jewels. I appreciate you. Because let's go over this. So there was that. Here is the letter that Todd Blanche sent out on August 2nd, yesterday, saying that the fund is dead. A, the Attorney General's May 18th, 2026 order establishing the Anti-Weaponization Fund is rescinded and shall have no force or effect. B, for the avoidance of doubt, nothing in this order is intended to contradict or otherwise be contrary to prior representations by the Department of Justice that the fund is not operative. No members were appointed, no funds were transferred, no process for receiving claims were established, no claims were paid. Nevertheless, several frivolous lawsuits have been filed challenging the fund, and at least one court has declined to dismiss those claims as moot. This order establishes beyond any doubt that there is no fund. Now, pay attention to the words, though. Pay attention to the words. This rescinds the order establishing the fund. Does it make the settlement null and void? Department of Justice rescinds anti-weaponization fund order and addresses the May 19 release. The Department of Justice today announced that the acting Attorney General rescinded the May 18th, 2026 order that established the anti-weaponization fund. Although the acting Attorney General has repeatedly advised Congress through testimony, including under oath as well in written responses, that the fund is not moving forward, and the department has repeatedly represented to district courts that the fund is not moving forward, today's order officially rescinds the May 18th, 2026 order. Further, the May 19th, 2026 order regarding a mutual release of claims applies by its terms only retroactively. Additionally, the terms lawfare and or weaponization in that order were already defined in the settlement agreement as the use of government power to target individuals, groups, and entities for improper and unlawful political, personal, and or ideological reasons. So what that is about, that's talking about the tax issue in regards to Donald Trump, his sons, and his business not being allowed to be prosecuted or audited for tax returns from that date of the May 19th order prior. Okay? Doesn't do anything to that. That order still is in effect. But again, what did I say? Focus on my words. Rescinded the order establishing the fund. Did it rescind the settlement altogether? The acting Attorney General stands by all of his July 15th, 2026 Senate Judiciary Committee test. Oh my God, Chicky, thank you so much for the whale diving. W's to Chicky, getting one of the big ones in the gift gallery out of the way. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Including answers to questions asked by Senator Cornyn related to the scope and applicability of the May 19th, 2026 order. A transcript of Acting Attorney General's testimony is attached. He incorporates that testimony by reference and restates that it is DOJ's interpretation that the order only has any effect, including on any release of claims, on the named parties in the lawsuit referenced in the order. That's important. He didn't cave. Here's the thing. He caved for his nomination, for his confirmation. He caved for that. So first let's play this, because this was before this letter came out from Todd Blanche yesterday. Here is Donald Trump. So he's saying it's dead. He wishes it wasn't, which is an entire issue in and of itself. That's a problem. But let's go to the actual settlement, which is something we actually haven't looked at here. We've looked at the May 18th order, and we've looked at the May 19th order on my show. We haven't looked at this. So this is the 9 pages that is the settlement agreement that Trump had versus the IRS. Okay, I'm gonna go down to the end. Signed by Frank J. Bisignano. He's the chief executive officer of the IRS. Somebody that Donald Trump appointed. Frank Bisignano. Donald Trump appointed this man to the IRS to make a deal with him, a settlement for him with himself, I guess. But it goes into the settlement agreement of Trump v. IRS. You're going to have your introduction, recitals, relief and legal authority, the settlement agreement, right? It talks about, here's the portion that we all know in regards to him not being able to be audited. Remember, that has not been rescinded. That still exists. So him, his sons, and his businesses not being able to be audited from the effective date, which would have been May 19th prior, not being allowed to have access to those taxes at all. Compensation and operation of the Anti-Weaponization Fund goes into how it is being created. Again, we read that in the May 18th order. Limitation on the claims, settlement agreement again, enforcement, integration, modification. Okay, this is the part I want you to pay attention to. Ready? This settlement agreement may be modified only with the written agreement of the parties. Who are the parties in this case? Can anybody tell me? Now, and this, to be honest, I'm quizzing MAGA, but I'm also quizzing my community because I do not want to hear leftists going around and saying that this is dead. Because it's not. So, well, yeah, our Baron, in reality. But who's the parties? We just read them. We just read it. Who's the parties in this case? Hi, JJ. Welcome in. Glad to see you. Let's go back up. The parties in this case are going to be President Donald J. Trump, because he's the plaintiff, and the Internal Revenue Service as the defendant. Now, do we have a letter? Do we have a letter from either Donald Trump or the IRS from Frank Bisignano saying that this settlement, this portion of the settlement, the Anti-Weaponization Fund portion of the settlement is rescinded? Do we have that? We don't. We don't have that. So what this means is, although Todd Blanche is saying that he is rescinding the creation of the fund, right? He's breaking down the means with which the fund can be created. He is not a party to this. So he will get his confirmation. That's probably going to happen tomorrow because Cornyn blinked. And that's why I want to see what Tom Tillis says about this, if Tom Tillis is smart enough. He will most likely be confirmed. I thought he'd be confirmed, to be honest, before this, when he was supposed to have his vote on Thursday. I didn't think they were going to hold him to this, so it was actually kind of refreshing to see. But I think he will probably get confirmed tomorrow. However, what that means is they can rescind that letter from Todd Blanche. He can rescind his rescission. We know that, right? He can just write another letter after Cornyn and Tillis leave, or after he's confirmed, and he can rescind the rescission because it would not be legally binding because it was not modified by the parties involved, which would be Donald J. Trump or Frank Bisignano as a part of the IRS. So it's not the win that everybody thinks that it is. I just wanted everybody to be clear on that. Please pass that around, and I mean that. Pass it around to creators around this app who are not speaking on it in the way that it needs to be spoken on. And maybe they have a fresh look at it that I don't have. But make sure that everybody knows this is not a win. This can be brought up again. They can just wait out Cornyn and Tillis till they leave at the end of this term in January. And then it can come right back. Did Mitch McConnell see his shadow today? I don't know. That's a good question. Guys, there's 94 of you in here. Can we keep tapping, please? We need to be tapping because we are nowhere near hitting 50,000 likes in 6 minutes. So we need to be tapping. We're going to be behind today. I can feel it already. But if we could keep tapping, that would be wonderful and amazing. But yes, the weaponization fund is not dead. It's just dead enough for Todd Blanche to get his confirmation to AG. All right. Oh, I wanted to get an actual, hold on. Wanted to get an actual story on this real quick, just so we have it. And then we can talk about the actual document. Okay, let me see if I can get. Oh, why are you so... Well, it's because you're not super far over on mine. That's why. Hold on. Let me just eek a little bit. Fix that. Sorry. Capital One says it closed Trump's organization's accounts after anti-money laundering probe. Now remember, Donald Trump and his sons have been crying about being debanked. That's the word that they use. Debanked for political reasons for years now. Well, Capital One says it closed Trump's organization's accounts after anti-money laundering probe. So, Capital One Financial hit back on Friday against a lawsuit. Remember, they're suing them. This is what happens when you sue people and you get information that doesn't support you. This is what happens. Hit back on Friday against a lawsuit over its decision to close the Trump Organization's bank accounts years ago, stating that it did so after a review by anti-money laundering experts. So they will probably end up saying AML as a short. It's anti-money laundering within Capital One. The disclosure marks the first time a bank has formally tied money laundering concerns to U.S. President Donald Trump's family business. Capital One is seeking to dismiss the case by casting doubt on claims of illegally debanking or denying services on religious or political grounds, says the Trump Organization. The Trump Organization and Capital One did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Capital One has never accused the Trump Organization of illegal money laundering, but Friday's filing argues that, quote, documents and plaintiffs' own allegations make clear that Capital One closed plaintiffs' accounts for anti-money laundering AML reasons. The closures were the result of months of analysis and a careful review by Capital One's AML team in accordance with bank policies and regulatory guidance. Capital One gave notice of its plans to close more than 300 Trump-affiliated bank accounts in March of 2021. The Trump Organization and Eric Trump, the president's son, filed a lawsuit in March of 2025. Why did it take them so long? Isn't that the excuse you guys give? Why did it take them so long? In a Florida federal court, alleging the accounts were closed because of the Capital One's woke beliefs and its desire to benefit from the political mood after the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. What are Capital One's woke beliefs? Just a question. What are their woke beliefs? Misguided allegations. The federal court in Miami has tossed 2 complaints in the Capital One case, but gave the plaintiffs opportunities each time to submit an amended complaint. Capital One said that the latest version, filed in July, quote, suffers from the same fundamental flaws as their prior 2 pleadings. Capital One said in Friday's filing that the Trump Organization's allegations of political pretext were misguided and based on cherry-picked quotations unsupported by the full context of documents submitted to the court. The transaction patterns identified by Capital One are among the types of activity flagged by federal banking guidance, the filing said. Since the start of Trump's second term, his administration has put pressure on some large banks, echoing conservative complaints that the institutions are deliberately targeting the political right. Trump signed an executive order in August of 2025 barring discriminatory debanking. In January, Trump filed a suit against J.P. Morgan Chase on the same grounds, underscoring the fraught policy environment Wall Street is navigating during the president's second term. Now, again, he can sign this all he wants to. 1, you would have to prove that it was discriminatory debanking. 2, you have no authority through executive order over the banking industry. That is something that would have to be done legislatively through Congress. In 2019, during his first term, Trump sued Capital One and Deutsche Bank in an attempt to prevent them from sharing financial records with Congress as part of a probe led by Democratic lawmakers. Anti-money laundering professionals at Deutsche Bank reportedly flagged a set of transactions, but executives ignored them. Deutsche Bank denied the report at the time. So, Capital One is saying it was because of suspicious transaction. It's like he was telling on himself. It is. It is absolutely like he was telling on himself. So let's put that there. So I want to show you. Yes, this is from Midas Touch, but they are citing the document. You can go and find the document yourself because it has the number on it as well. See this? This is your case number. If you type this in, you should be able to find the public documents, usually on it's like Cloud Story, Court Listener, things like that. There you can find it if it's open to the public. So, The SAC concedes that Capital One's decision to terminate the accounts was expressly permitted by the governing agreement and instead rests on vague allegations of political discrimination that are not supported by any of the documents attached to the SAC. To the contrary, those documents and plaintiffs' own allegations make clear that Capital One closed plaintiffs' account for anti-money laundering AML reasons. The closures were the result of months of analysis and a careful review of Capital One's AML team in accordance with bank policies and regulatory guidance. Capital One never publicized the termination decision nor its confidential internal process giving rise to the closure, and it permitted plaintiffs several months and granted several extensions to find new banking services, which they did. As the SAC makes plain, plaintiffs cannot meaningfully criticize the robust process undertaken by Capital One's AML professionals with decades of law enforcement experience in deciding to close the accounts. Instead, plaintiffs attempt to keep their misguided allegations of political discrimination alive by speculating that Capital One's anti-money laundering concerns were pretextual and claiming that plaintiffs were somehow misled by the contractually permitted closure decision. But these new theories are based on cherry-picked quotations unsupported by the full context of the documents plaintiffs cite and are in any event unnecessary for this court to consider at the pleading stage because plaintiffs' claims fail as a matter of Florida law. None of the plaintiffs' efforts to avoid this court's prior rulings can save their claims, and the SIC should be dismissed with prejudice for several reasons. We will see what the judge decides in that case or how long it goes on, but just saying, Capital One is coming out and saying even the documents that the plaintiffs themselves are sharing, as Mia puts it, telling on himself, show that the accounts were closed because of suspicious transaction activity flagged by the anti-money laundering department. So, Now, Capital One is not accusing him of this, but just saying. Okay. Continuing on, this was, I'm sure everybody knows, one of my favorite stories over the weekend. It happened, on Friday? I just wasn't live anymore. Justice Department moves to drop case against ex-Olympian charged with damaging the reflecting pool. Who could have seen that coming? Well, let's get into it. The Justice Department moved Friday to dismiss a criminal case charging a former Olympian with deliberately damaging the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, saying evidence prosecutors had recently received refuted the idea that vandals were to blame. Government lawyers said in a 20-page court filing that additional documents provided by the Interior Department since the indictment of David Hearn showed that the damage was the result of a botched installation by a contractor as well as, quote, the rush to complete the project prior to events associated with the America 250 celebration in the weeks surrounding Independence Day 2026. In addition, a recent visual inspection revealed damage throughout the pool, including in the middle, where prosecutors say a vandal would not likely have attempted to peel the lining. Now again, I want to be clear, this is not the judge. This is the Justice Department themselves. This is Janine Zinfandel Box Puro herself dropping it. Well, yeah, she pissed him off, JVJ. She did. Given all this newly discovered information, it is difficult to attribute the widespread damage to the reflecting pool to vandalism, let alone to establish that fact beyond a reasonable doubt, said the filing from U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro, which asked a judge to formally dismiss the case. That's an interesting thing that you say, Janine. It's interesting. Because, well, hold on. We'll get there. Let me show you, because I went to look. I wanted to find it. So these are the documents for dismissal. Superior Court government's motion to dismiss the indictment. So remember, government's motion. This is the government themselves. I'm Mia. So I just want to show you again, right here. Based upon the initial reports provided by the Department of the Interior, that's Doug Burgum, and the U.S. Park Police, the United States Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia presented the grand jury with evidence that damage to the reflecting pool was caused by vandals, including the defendant in this case, David Hearn. However, it was not until after the indictment that the DOI provided additional documents to the USAODC indicating that damage to the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool in June 2026 was the result of flawed installation by the contractor, Atlantic Industrial Coatings. and the rush to complete the project prior to events associated with the America 250 celebration in the weeks surrounding Independence Day 2026. It was not until after these documents were produced that USAODC first became aware of information showing that the damage was the result of a botched installation and not vandalism, as initially represented by the DOI. That's Doug Burgum. Remember, that is a Trump appointee, Doug Burgum. We'll get to him in a minute. Indeed, USAODC could only rely on the information provided by the DOI, so they're throwing the Department of the Interior and Doug Burgum under the bus, by the way. Throwing them under the bus. They're saying, well, it's not our fault. This is what you gave us. Indeed, USAODC could only rely on the information provided by the DOA that the damage was entirely caused by vandals, including the defendant, in this case, David Hearn. Because these recently produced materials significantly undermine the evidentiary basis for the indictment initially supplied by the DOA and U.S. Park Police, the USAODC respectfully moves to dismiss the indictment without prejudice. Like we all said. Yeah, you mean like we said was going to happen? But again, let me bring it up again. Let's read it one more time. Given all this newly discovered information, it is difficult to attribute the widespread damage to the reflecting pool to vandalism, let alone to establish that fact beyond a reasonable doubt. Which is interesting, because this is what you said before. This is what you said the day that the indictment went out. Janine? It might not be her fault. She is a walking box of Zinfandel. Now I realize you guys aren't going to be able to hear it. Why didn't you guys yell at me about Trump? Okay, we're ready to go.
Was this part of the pool specifically? Was the sealant already partially removed? Did he rip it back and just describe in detail? Because he maintains that it looks the same as it did before he arrived. That's his.
You know, I'm not going to get into the evidence, but what I told you is what our witnesses saw and experienced. There was an effort, a violent effort, to rip up the sealant from the bottom of the pool. And
no, I know you guys heard it. B, on TikTok, you guys can hear it regardless of when that's muted on my OBS, but then Twitch and YouTube can't. I had to fix it for them.
Irrespective of whether or not, we think that, there is some situation that preceded it, we can state and prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he caused damage, and that damage is over $1,000.
Keying in on that, how do you prove that $1,000?
With an expert.
Is that
come to the trial.
It has to be drained? Is that because it has to be drained?
We'll hear all that at the trial.
This is weaponization of the government. I just want you to know that is what this whole entire case is weaponization of the government. The thing that they accuse the Biden administration of the entire time, that's what this is. She's saying an expert will prove at trial that this was vandalism. You didn't have one yet? This sounds like you created a case and got an indictment and you were going to try and get the evidence later. That's what that sounds like. So your purpose of trying to save face for Trump and trying to save Trump's ego led to weaponization of the government with evidence you didn't even have yet. An expert at the trial. We'll see at the trial. You didn't have the evidence yet and you're supposed to have it before you fucking go to trial. Why are you getting evidence after the fact?
Expert. Come to the trial.
It has to be drained? Is that because it has to be drained?
We'll hear all that at the trial.
Did he have any tools, or was it just his bare hands?
Right now, we believe it's his bare hands, both hands.
So does that indicate in your belief?
They had no clue. None. And we said that. We said they had no clue when we played this the day that it came out. No clue. This is old, yes. I'm just kind of getting us to where we were.
That it was probably damaged before, or do you believe that he...
he damaged it.
Further, but do you believe it had already been damaged before?
He damaged the pool.
Before he touched it?
He damaged this pool.
But there have been, all these videos, obviously.
Well, good. I'm glad you've got that evidence. Come on in the grand jury. You can testify. Next.
Oh, good, because guess what? The Department of the Interior gave you new evidence that it was a botched installation and you had to drop the case. But you used weaponization of the government to help glaze Donald Trump's taint and save face for him. And used and weaponized the government against David Hearn. This man could have possibly gone to prison for 10 years for something he didn't fucking do. Because you wanted to save the face of Trump. But they also said it couldn't be damaged with something as simple as a box cutter. Exactly, but Trump said it, so they have to... I know, Eli, that's the one, I will say, I would love the clip of her saying he damaged the pool. I kind of want to use it as a drop sound, which I know makes no sense. I know it does. But, like, it's one of my favorite noises that came out of her mouth. I love it so much. Anyway, let's move on to the continuation of how we got here with this lie to glaze the president's taint. What I'm trying to show is that you guys and your support of Trump makes you so cloudy in the head, you lack critical thinking. You become these loyalists like Jeanine Pirro, like Doug Burgum, like Caroline Leavitt, like Pete Hegseth, like Marco Rubio. You guys are so ingrained in just supporting him regardless of the facts that are given your way that you are fine with weaponizing the government against somebody to the point where he could have gone to jail for 10 fucking years. So let's show that. This is a montage from Trump talking about vandals. Again, without evidence. Now we know.
We had vandalism. No, vandals. We have I think 290, 300-foot slit right through it. Probably a box cutter or a knife of some kind.
Somebody went in with a knife and cut it. They cut it up good. And then they cut a 200, 350-foot slip in the form of lots of little slips. A real horrible stuff.
They took razors and they started cutting this, very expensive stuff.
We caught some people vandalizing our beautiful reflecting pool.
They tried to destroy it. They cut it up with a box knife and tried to destroy it.
Not true. He said this for weeks and earlier this month.
It's not true. It's not true. 444, you said, quick question, where I can find midterm election candidate info for Dade County. Honestly, I would just Google that first. I would start with midterm election candidates for Dade County. I would start with Googling that. And hopefully it leads you to, if it doesn't, look into Ballotpedia. Ballotpedia is a great place where once you do find the candidates' names for Dade County, you can then bring them up and hopefully they filled out surveys and you can find what their stances are in way of your candidates. Look up your secretary. Thank you, Kayla. I'm going to repeat what you said. Look up your Secretary of State for ballot measures and fair ballot language. All places that you can start. I always think Ballotpedia is a great place to start to try and find your candidates, but honestly, just Googling midterm candidates for Dade County is a great place to start. So start there. Nope, we did that. I don't need that. Wrong button. And it's not just Trump. Okay, Trump's going to say what Trump's going to say. We know that. The pool is way too green. You need to cut it. Trump's going to say what Trump's going to say. But he is coddled and facilitated by an administration to the point that when does it become weaponization versus free speech? When does it become weaponization? When your free speech of your opinion turns into an attack on somebody else through the DOJ. What becomes the differential?
The vandalism is very real, despite what Tim Walz wants to say. It's an imaginary problem. No, it is not. It's a very real problem.
Reflect.
Ooh, apparently it's not. Apparently it's very imaginary. The problem is with the botched installation and the rushing. Apparently it was that. Maybe we shouldn't do rushed, no-bid contracts to Donald Trump's friends. Maybe. Good morning, Kelly.
The pool was so beautiful. They tried to destroy it. They cut it up with a box knife and tried to destroy it.
A lot of people, when this first happened with the pool, didn't believe the president. that there was vandalism. That's not the case.
Yeah. It's not the case at all. In fact, I was at the reflecting pool yesterday. There not only is a vandalism that is reflected in today's indictment, but there is a cutting of the liner of the pool at the base of the pool for several yards across the pool. And someone was intent on doing incredible damage to the pool.
The contractors who did the initial work for the reflecting pool, are they to blame for the current condition, or is it
No,
the
no,
vandals?
we had vandalism. No, vandals.
But it peeled off. Why? Why did that happen? Do you know?
It didn't peel off. There was vandalism. There was box.
This is Doug Burgum. So I'm going to replay his portion. This is Doug Burgum. This is the Secretary of the Interior, the Department of the Interior, where Jeanine Pirro got her information that led to the dismissal of the case. So his department finally revealed the evidence that it was a botched installation and not vandalism. But he came on to the news multiple times to tell people that it was vandalism. Let me go back to make sure
But it peeled off. Why? Why did that happen? Do you know?
It didn't peel off. There was vandalism. There was box cutters. There have been 7 arrests. There was people literally trying to destroy part of a monument. The reflecting pool is not just a pool on the mall. It is part of the Lincoln Memorial. And if anybody says that they're going to go and vandalize that, it's no different than if someone was throwing
And
paint
you're
on
100%.
Right, but nobody said they were gonna. You see how he twisted his words? Nobody said that they were gonna. So where's the evidence of vandalism? Oh, you didn't provide that. You provided evidence of a botched installation. Okay.
Percent sure that what happened with the liner was vandalism. You can prove it.
Oh yeah, absolutely can. And as we drain it, and we've got all the photographs we can see. I mean, there's no possible
You
way.
have photographs of a person or people cutting a 300 or 350 foot gash in the bottom of the reflecting pool?
Dana, I'm not sure why you and others in the media think that you want to keep trying to question whether or not they.
This is why they question it. They question it because you fucking lied. They question it because you lied. I don't know why you guys want to keep questioning it. Because here we are now in August, and the case is being dismissed by the government. Not by the judge, by the government. That's why they ask those questions. Don't sit here and tell me, oh, the news. You want to shit on the news, fine, but critique it for the right reasons. She was asking the questions she's supposed to ask, because guess what happened? The Department of the Interior released evidence that it was a botched installation, and Jeanine Pirro in the government had to dismiss the case. That's why they ask those questions. But it didn't matter what the evidence is, because it never matters what the truth or the evidence is, because Donald Trump will believe what Donald Trump wants to believe, because Grandpa is unwell. I disagree 100% with Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, on the reflecting pool. I don't know what she was thinking. Question mark? What? I don't know what she was thinking? Who writes it like that? To me, it was a pure case of vandalism that included the grass, which had a big 8647 emblazoned in giant letters on it, and other elements of the surrounding area. Now, yes, there was an 8647 in the grass, but to try and tie that to the pool is interesting to me, because you can't prove that those were the same or in correlation in any way. If you want to go after the person for the 8647 in the grass, I guess you can. But I don't know what that has to do with the pool that the Jeanine Pirro just dropped. Welcome in, Facts Raiders. Hello. I hope you guys had a wonderful morning over with Steve. I know you did, because it's Steve and he is wonderful. So welcome in. Hello. If you've never seen me before, my name is Monica. I go by just Monida, and I do a similar platform kind of to what Steve does. We go over the news here. I do always have things. Thank you so much. I have things open to have conversations with Trump supporters, but I have those on factually based evidence and not feelings, much like Steve does. I will ask you to prove claims, and I don't want to hear common sense or I think or I believe or I feel or you don't think. We don't do that here. So right now we're going over the fact that the government has dismissed the case of the reflecting pool, and we were just kind of showing, as I know Steve did this morning as well, videos we had shown before of Jeanine Pirro being very confident that somebody vandalized the pool, of Donald Trump saying that it was vandalized, of the, thank you so much, Chicky, for the crabs. Oh my God, I have crabs. I think you sent that just to embarrass me in front of company. That was rude, Chicky. But thank you for giving me crabs. I've gotten crabs twice today. Love that for me. But Donald Trump going off about it being vandalized, and his administration, including Doug Burgum, the Secretary of the Interior, who is the reason why this case is being dismissed because of the evidence that they found that it was a botched installation. We went over the actual court document. So welcome in. I appreciate you guys being here. Hope you guys stick around. Give me a follow. Welcome in. So let's finish reading his truth, where he is very, very upset with Jeanine Pirro for dropping the case. There may have been some contractor difficulty, but the major damage was caused by vandals. There is no proof of that, President Trump. There is no proof of that. So what are we doing here? Okay, no proof of that. Now what ends up happening is Congress, the Republicans and the GOP in Congress, are now having to try and explain this away to try and sane wash the behavior, okay? So, give her more crabs is wild, Kayla. Here is Senator Kennedy on with Meet the Press with Kristen Welker, and he is going to try to sane wash Donald Trump's disagreement with the facts of the case.
Ask you about another big topic this week, Senator. The Justice Department just this week dropped its charges against the Olympic canoeist that it accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool on the National Mall. The DOJ admitted that the damage was caused by, quote, botched installation and not vandalism. This was a case that the DOJ had said was open and shut. They said they could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Does this reversal undercut the public's faith in the Justice Department, Senator?
Well, the whole thing is a multiple vehicle pileup. Let me start with the president. The president says it was caused by vandals. I don't know whether he really believes that, or it's part of his political messaging, or he's just thinking out loud.
What political messaging do you get out of saying that there were vandals at the reflecting pool that didn't actually exist, besides lying? Yep, foghorn leghorn. Blueski! What do you get out of political messaging besides a lie and fear-mongering that there are vandals and criminals vandalizing the pool? Okay, so he's lying. His political message is he's lying? Or, as Senator Kennedy points out, that he actually believes it. If he actually believes it, that means that he believes it regardless of the facts presented to him in front of his face. Maybe we should be concerned about his mental state. Maybe. Thank you guys so much for completing those finger hearts. I appreciate you. So, if he believes it, although the evidence disagrees with him, should we check his mental state? If it's for political messaging, that means he is lying about fear-mongering and criminality to what? Keep power and win elections? Or he's just what?
Or it's part of his political messaging, or he's just thinking out loud. You and I both.
Or he's just thinking out loud. When you post something, you have to physically pull it up, write it, post it. He had plenty of time in between that time to go, maybe I shouldn't send this. Maybe this is not a good idea to send this. He had that time. He could have done that. But sure, let's keep saying washing it.
Both know the president well. He exists loudly, and he grows anxious when he has an unexpressed thought. I'm not saying he doesn't really believe it.
Is he a child? He gets anxious. Sorry, I'm trying to find a gift. I don't like that they're not in order. We talk about this every week. Is he a child? He gets antsy when he can't express a thought. Is he a toddler? Mommy. Hold on, honey. Just give me a second. Mommy's talking. Mommy. The reflecting pool. Mommy. Vandals. Mommy. Honey, sweetheart, I will listen to you in just a... Mommy! This is the president of the United States. Okay? He's an 80-year-old man. Why are we sane washing this like it's okay? Don't. Leave me. Don't
know. Now, the stakes are a lot higher for U.S. Attorney Pirro. You can't lie to a federal judge. If she can't prove her case, she was right to pull back. Because if you fool around with a federal judge, you will find out. When I was in private practice one time, I put my briefcase on a brand new conference table bought by a federal judge. And he got so mad.
His accent. I'm my briefcase on a brand new.
And I'll never forget, I thought I was going to get to spend overnight with Bubba in central lockup. The federal judges will not tolerate it. And so if I don't know why she filed the suit without having, without doing a full investigation. She says she relied on the Department of Interior.
I don't know why she filed a suit without a full investigation. I know why. Because Donald Trump told everybody it was vandals, and he's like, make it happen, and don't embarrass me. And she was like, okay, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. They damaged the pool.
But she was smart to pull it back.
She was smart to pull it back. She had no choice but to pull it back. That's what happened. She had no choice. Last bit that I have on the reflecting pool is Dana Bash asks Jim Jordan about it, and he turns into a stumbling mess once again. When he is confronted with facts, and he doesn't know how to just admit, like, yeah, you're right, they should have dropped this is good, whatever, he has to still maintain his glazery for Trump's taint. He doesn't know what to do with that, and so he gets a little bit antsy to get a thought out, if we should say.
But on that note, just kind of looking ahead to who could or should be eligible for the fund, I want to play something that the Interior Secretary Doug Burgum told me about the reflecting pool. Let's watch.
It didn't peel off. There was vandalism. There was box cutters. There have been 7 arrests. There was people literally trying to destroy part of a monument.
And you're 100% sure that what happened with the liner was vandalism?
By the way, where are the other 7 arrests for vandalism? We had this one that they made a giant press conference on his indictment. The other ones seem to have been because people touched the water. Those were probably dismissed as well. But where are they? I would like to see those cases.
Vandalism. You can prove it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely can. And as we drain it, we've got all the photographs.
As you well know, the U.S. Attorney here in D.C., Jeanine Pirro, says that vandalism did not damage the pool, but it was a hasty and botched contract renovation that did. They dropped their case, a criminal case that they had against a former Olympian, David Hearn. Given what he's gone through, should he be eligible for money from the Anti-Weaponization Fund?
Well, that'd be up to the board. I mean,
No, that's a trap, silly question, because obviously the Anti-Weaponization Fund is dead. The establishment of it is dead, not the settlement itself. But it is to prove a point that if it's a weaponization fund, this was weaponization of the government. So would he be entitled to compensation through even a different means?
if this thing is formed, remember, that's up to, I don't make the decision. It's up to them. What I do know is Peter Strzok shouldn't have got $1.2 million.
So you have an opinion on that?
President Trump's election campaign.
You have an opinion that he shouldn't have gotten it. What about David Hearn?
Well, that'll be up to the board. And I don't know all the facts. This story just broke. I don't know all the facts, why they did, why the Justice Department dropped the case, why the Department of Interior said that there was something there.
What do you mean you don't know? You can read it. It's in the first 2 fucking paragraphs of the document. What do you mean?
I'd have to go look at all that. We'd have to look. What I do know is President Trump is focused on making America great and focused on making Washington beautiful again, and he's been focused on that. We'll have to get to the facts of this case. I just don't know.
They were one of the
this was his excuse about the abuser, Max Miller. He hadn't read it.
Facts now, and this is based on what the president's own U.S. attorney, Jeanine Pirro, who I know.
They've all turned into Mike Johnson. Oh, I haven't read about that. No, I haven't heard about that yet. Like, that's all they have. No, I haven't heard about that. Nope, nothing. I don't know anything. Stop asking me. But Trump is doing great. I haven't seen anything. I've seen nothing. I've heard nothing. But I'm not going to say nothing. What I'm going to say is we have the best president ever. That's what Donald, like, that's what Jim Jordan, that's what all of them are doing now.
You know well, she used to be on Fox, said in a court document, the ramifications of it was that they were trying to send a man who was innocent to jail based on lies about vandalism. He was accused of crimes that he did not commit. As chair of the Judiciary Committee, does that bother you?
If those are the facts, of course, but I don't know that those are the facts.
I don't know that those are the facts, because I'm just going to bury my head in the sand and keep doing what I'm doing for Trump, because that's the only thing I know how to do. Trump. It's the only thing I know how to do. Okay, I've got a couple other things in way of news before I get to whatever section I choose to get to today. But let me do thank yous and read messages real quick. Thank you to Luca for the $10. He said, maybe the real vandalism is the friends we made along the way. I think so. I think the vandalism is the friends we made along the way. Thank you, Luca. I absolutely agree. And thank you so much, Patrick, for the $5 on PayPal. You didn't send a message, but thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you. As we are sitting here, guys, as we hit the top of the hour, I would appreciate it if we could keep working on that goal. Hold on, I have to leave me alone. Math. I should know that. Should. Doesn't matter. As we're sitting here, make sure we're still tapping that screen. We're at 85,000 likes, so we got closer. We didn't quite hit that 100,000. Kayla, hit that 100,000 that we wanted to hit before the top of the hour, but I appreciate you guys being here and tapping as you go. So keep going. Fill that little bar above my head. I appreciate it so much. If you're watching over on YouTube and you have not hit that thumbs up button for me, please, I would appreciate it if you do so. It does help push us onto the algorithm out there, whether you like me or hate me, in order to foster conversation. So thank you. If you are not following me over on Twitch, I would appreciate it if you did so. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, that means I have 135 left in my goal with 2 hours left to go. Can we crowdfund for that, please? We pay for women's labor on this platform. Dollar Train, $2 Train, $5 Train, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link trees in my bio in order to support me. Thank you. I would appreciate it so much. All right. I'm not going to get heavy into this, but just a little bit into this. Did I? Yes. No. Like, did I keep this one over here? I don't know if I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. So, hackers targeted municipal water systems in 7 states this week, the FBI says. Okay? It was reported July 31st. Cyber attacks targeting municipal water systems have been reported in at least 7 states this week. You're late, Steve. Your wonderful community rated me, and I thanked them, and I welcomed them, and now you're here. We love you. I know, sorry. It's fine. I love you, Steve. You know how many times I send a raid, and then I'm sitting here doing something on the computer, and like 45 minutes later, I'm like, shit, I didn't even go over there. It's fine. We all do it. I love you. It's fine. Cyber attacks targeting municipal water systems have been reported in at least 7 states this week, prompting the FBI and the Environmental Protection Agency to warn utilities nationwide that hackers are trying to disrupt critical water infrastructure. In a public service announcement Thursday, the agency said water and wastewater utilities have reported incidents to the FBI with some malicious activity degrading water operations. The announcement does not name the states. The warning comes after hackers targeted more than 30 municipal water facilities in Minnesota in an attack that had hallmarks of Iranian meddling, according to the law enforcement agency. A law enforcement official. It is still under investigation. A spokesperson for Minnesota's Information Technology Services Agency said Thursday there was no indication the breaches contaminated any municipal water supplies. The Federal Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency said in a separate alert that some larger attacks on water structure had resulted in boil water notices and sustained manual operations, though it did not say where. Minnesota officials said the U.S. government have not publicly attributed the malicious activity in the state to a specific actor. Likewise, the FBI and the EPA did not identify a culprit behind the breaches in the other states. So I'm going to play this. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to play it for you. Donald Trump, however, instead of, you guys, the 47-year war with Iran, and Iran has always been trying to hurt the U.S., but also Donald Trump's going to blame Minnesota.
Today, I just want to mention that
I am so sorry that was so loud.
we heard in Minnesota there was a cyber attack, and they blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of...
Okay, well, what about the other states now? What about the other states now? So I understand you don't like Tim Walz. He was the VP running against you. You don't like Minnesota because you're an idiot and you don't know how to research. But you're going to say the incompetence. Yes, Stuckis, yes. Minnesota attacked its own water systems, according to Donald Trump. I think really the point he is trying to make is because of their incompetency, it happened. But it's interesting to me that we are literally in a war with Iran, where we could blame Iran for this. It looks like Iran did this, but we're going to blame Minnesota because we just don't like Minnesota. Hi, Mia.
Oh no, I'm robotic.
Are you?
Am I robotic? Okay.
Oh,
Anyway, hi. You guys are 4 minutes behind. Congratulations, you made it to the 100K mark. You're 4 minutes behind. That means you need to be 8 minutes ahead at the next 30-minute mark, or I come up and yell. And I'm not in a great mood, so
I love you.
let's get this happening. W taps, Bush late. Also, pay this woman for her labor. And we uncovered the Green News scam. It was the reflecting poll.
It's the reflecting pool. She's echoing. It's her robotic way. I don't know why she's robotic, but it almost was more menacing, her being robotic. Thank you so much, Stuckis, for the... Oh my gosh, I have an egg on my head. Thank you so much for that. AI Mia has spoken. It's insane. No, don't think you meant to. Okay, I think that was an accident. That's fine. We'll leave it there anyway. All right, so let's go back to his claims. It's going to get loud. I apologize. Mia Prime is in St. Vincent.
On Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of 30 water plants, and I would blame it on Minnesota and the governor, the corrupt governor of Minnesota. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
We're taking Iran's side now? By the way, Optimus Mia, I like that one. Again, 7 other states. Iran would be so lucky. What is wrong with him? And why do you support him? Trump had knowledge we don't. Stop second guessing. What knowledge did he have that Minnesota hacked its own water systems, and then the 7 other states are what? What are the 7 other states then, Keith? What are the 7 other states? What about those ones? In a response to a request for comment, Walz said in part, Trump knows exactly who is responsible for this attack and knows that other states were hit too. This is what modern warfare looks like, and it further illustrates there's no plan to win a war with Iran, which is true. The FBI and EPA advisory focused less on attribution than on the tactics used in the attacks. The federal advisory said the malicious cyber actors, or MCAs, targeted specific brands of control systems used by municipal water utilities, though the FBI and EPA urged operators of all systems to take precautions. Earlier this week, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources issued a bulletin to water contacts in the state saying intelligence officials believed that systems within Wisconsin may be susceptible to connections from malicious cyber actors. They're right next door. It makes sense. This leads us to believe that the cyber threat is ongoing in Wisconsin and requires immediate action to prevent potentially serious impacts to our systems. A Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources spokesperson emphasized that intelligence officials in the state had not yet confirmed that systems in Wisconsin have had connections, but are concerned that they might be susceptible to connections from malicious cyber actors. So they're warning. Minnesota has not reported that threat actors lowered pressure across multiple water systems or that pressure changes prompted a law enforcement response. They disputed Wisconsin's characterizations is what was happening. The agencies said the hackers remotely accessed internet-facing devices, changed IP addresses and passwords, and caused utilities to lose monitoring and control capabilities. Now, here's the thing. Let's go back up for a second. The agency that we're talking about responsible for tracking these things is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. We have talked about it a lot. I call it CISA because it sounds better than what y'all call it, which is like CISA or something like that. I can't remember. I don't like it. So I call it CISA. Anyway, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. I want you to look at the cause and effect of maybe why our cybersecurity is not doing well because of defunding within the government from the Republicans. Shocker, I know. When you don't fund these things, they can't do as efficient of a job. So far, I think it's only for city water. Aline, is it Aline? I apologize if I say that wrong. So, the federal advisory calls on system operators to remove programmable logic controllers, or PLCs, from direct internet exposure by putting them behind secure gateways and firewalls, use strong passwords, and limit communications between authorized control system devices through access control lists. Attribution requires careful analysis of technical evidence alongside broader national and international threat intelligence, and our federal partners are best positioned to lead that work. Now, here's the thing. I agree with this. Even saying, what the FBI is saying is that this tracks with situations we've seen before of Iran attempting to hack systems. It doesn't mean that they did. So let's not make a determination. Let's go to investigation, right? We need to have investigation. So, the breach in Minnesota happened just days after U.S. officials publicly warned that Iran-backed hackers were targeting the nation's critical infrastructure amid the escalating military conflict between Washington and Tehran. But yeah, Tim Walz did it. In a public advisory July 22nd, CISA, as well as the FBI and other federal agencies, urged companies to boost their defenses, saying Tehran-linked hackers were trying to breach online automated devices used to manage infrastructure systems. U.S. intelligence agencies have also cautioned that Iran is increasingly able and willing to carry out aggressive cyber operations, and that it tried to target water systems in 2023. Bryson Bort, the founder of the cybersecurity company Scythe and an expert in industrial control system security, said the FBI's disclosures this week underscore the need for more public awareness of the risk posed by infrastructure breaches. We need to be prepared. Attacks like this illustrate that there are folks who mean to do the U.S. harm. But, or you could just listen to Donald Trump, and it was Tim Walz. It wasn't Iran. He doesn't think it was Iran. Just like he doesn't believe that Putin did what he did because Putin told him so. Yeah, sure, totally. That totally is what happened. W's to Eric for the $5. You said, fuck Trump, fuck MAGA. We're moving to Mexico. You spelled it with an X and an X, so we're moving to Mexico. As Trump put it, we're moving to Mexico. W's to you. Thank you so much. And also, is it House of Fur? Is that what your name is that I'm going by? W's to you for the $10. You said for women's labor. Thank you for all you do. Heart House of Fur. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for working on getting that goal down. I do appreciate it so very much. Truly. It's my job. And it's ridiculous that I have to go over these things that a toddler does while he has the highest office in the land. We love that. This last one I kind of just threw in news. Just to show you. So remember, Darlene Graham is taking over the seat, or has taken over, she has taken over the seat for Lindsey Graham, who passed away. His sister took over the seat. Now, you want to talk about, I don't know, the unethicalness of it? I guess you could, but unfortunately within our system in Congress, you're just kind of allowed to do that. It's not the first time that a family member who has no experience has taken over, and it will not be the last. But it's interesting. You're going to listen to the first part of this with her talking to Trey Gowdy, who is literally Grindelwald in human form. So Trey Gowdy is Grindelwald. You cannot convince me otherwise. But this first part, she kind of glazes Trump, saying she's going to do what Lindsey would have done in supporting Trump's agenda. But the second part I find really interesting because she kind of starts to separate herself from what Lindsey Graham's agenda was to what she wants to focus on, which honestly sounds like it is in direct conflict with what Donald Trump is saying and doing. Oops, why did I do that? He was on the screen. It's probably because I wanted him off the screen because oh my God, he's terrifying.
I had a very close personal relationship with my first Senator Graham. If the people of South Carolina pick you for 6 years, what would my second Senator Graham be like?
I do want to say, just to be petty, I've never seen his hair slicked down like that. I've seen it combed over. I've seen it straight up. I've never seen it slicked back like that. I don't know what that is, but I'm sorry. Ask your question again, Trey Gowdy.
Years. What would my second Senator Graham be like?
Well, first, I just want to thank President Trump for his endorsement. So my first priority would be to fight for South Carolina and to help President Trump achieve his agenda. Lindsey was probably much more focused on national security, and I know that's important, but I'll probably be focused more on affordability, what matters to the families in South Carolina, the struggling families, because I know what it is to struggle from week to week.
But wait, I thought that affordability was a hoax created by the Democrats. How is she going to focus on affordability when Trump already fixed it and it's not real? How's she going to do that? Oh, so she's completely going against the president here. She's going to focus on affordability.
What matters to the families in South Carolina, the struggling families, because I know what it is to struggle from week to week, paycheck to paycheck. So definitely affordability. And then the Russia sanctions bill, I definitely want to get that across the finish line because that was extremely important to Lindsey.
You mentioned.
Okay. So for the most part, glazing Trump's taint just the way her brother did, but the fact she says she's focusing on affordability is interesting to me. And that sounds like she wants to win a re-election on things is what it sounds like to me. Okay. Let's see what we can get to here. The whistling is giving the gopher on Winnie the Pooh. Gopher. It's Gopher. I just wanted to point out real quick, while I'm showing you guys this information, he said, why did Tim Walz resign? He didn't resign. He dropped out of the governor's race. So he just said he's not going to seek a second term. He didn't resign. He is still the governor of Minnesota until they vote for a new one. And then Bruce is using Tampon Tim because all you guys have are bumper sticker slogans and you guys are sheep that are just indoctrinated to repeat stuff. So that's interesting. Anyway, all right, so let's go to Iran. We'll do an Iran update while we're sitting here. I think that's what we're going to do. Donald Trump was asked if there's a timeline. Does Iran have a deadline to make a deal? Because here we are, sitting here, and again, we're just playing stock market manipulation roller coaster, which is not a game that I wanted to do. I did like the computer coaster simulator games, but this is not one that I wanted to play, which is where we say we're going to do a deal so that the stock market looks good, and then we attack over the weekend when it's closed down, and we just say we're working on a deal again so that the stock market doesn't know which way is up, and it looks good, I guess, to shareholders, but we're not actually doing anything. So does Iran have a deadline? Right, yeah, for the safety and wellness of his family, because y'all are sick. Bruce, you said sorry guys. Bruce, you said I do the same thing. What bumper sticker slogan have I repeated? Without factually based evidence.
No, we'll just see how it is. We're ready to.
So she asked, and I know it's hard to hear, does Iran have a deadline?
No, we'll just see how it is. We're ready to go anytime we want.
No, we'll just see how it is. No, they don't have a deadline. We'll just see how it is. So we're just going to be in this war for how long?
Would I rather make a deal? I'm not looking to kill people. Because people die. A lot of people die. And we don't want that.
Then why did you threaten an entire civilization multiple times? Why did you threaten civilian infrastructure multiple times? If you don't want to kill people.
So they asked us, Iran specific.
This is what happens when you're a little kid who's been brainwashed by Marxist education since Barack Obama's election, sweetheart. I graduated when Barack Obama was elected the first time. So I guess my Marxist education was from the Bush Jr. administration. That was the entirety of my educational years. It's a nice try, though. I'm 35. Okay? Just to be clear, I'm 35. I will be turning 36 this November. My education was No Child Left Behind. My education was Bush Jr. Maybe blame Republicans for that, because I graduated when Obama was elected. Okay, cool. Glad we got that.
publicly, but the other three said we really. I asked Saudi Arabia, the king. I said, the crown prince. I said, what would you rather do? Would you rather
So now he's saying he asked the Gulf nations whether he should attack or not.
have us do this or not? And they said, we would much prefer a deal as opposed to an attack, because you don't know where these attacks lead. I mean, will they be flooded with people pouring into their country and disaster? A lot of bad things.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because that's what happens when you fuck with other nations. Yeah, if you mess with the people of Iran, the people themselves will look for refuge and leave, and they will probably become refugees into these other countries. Yes, that is something you caused. You and Israel did that. Congratulations.
It's going to happen. Yes.
Okay, so mentally me, you're just going to move on to new talking points instead of addressing the fact that you were wrong about my age, right? Okay. And about my education? You didn't want to address Bush Jr.? You didn't want to do that? Okay, cool. We need to make that a sticker for you, Mia. We need that. We need your war crimes aside, he's adorable sticker. But here was Donald Trump threatening Iran with a World War II style attack. I'm not sure what that means, because when I think of World War II, I just think of like the bombs that we dropped, you know, the big ones. The big ones. The atomic bomb and the H bomb. Just me. But maybe not.
So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous for them, and they didn't want us to do it. So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II.
What does that mean? Like, which battle? World War II took years. So yeah, what are we talking about? Is that nuclear war? Are you threatening nuclear war with Iran? Are we doing like, Dunkirk? Are we doing like, like D-Day? Like is that troops on the ground? What are you talking about? Oh no, it's worse. Marina, not only did he say this, you want to know where I got it from on Twitter? So this is the Department of War rapid response. But you know when I got it? Actually, let's go here. This is where I got it. I clicked on this to get to it. Fact. The Department of War was ready to go and remains ready at levels not seen since World War II, locked and loaded, except that is interesting because even Pete Hegseth admits that our munitions are low. So apparently we're not as locked and loaded as we think, but that's Pete Hegseth. That's where I got this from, was Pete Hegseth on my timeline. Please. Please. But it's okay, don't worry. Don't worry, because once again, Trump tacos for the market. The USA is locked and loaded and ready to go against the Islamic Republic of Iran at levels of military terror, strength, and power not seen since World War II. Despite this, we have just been asked by Iran, so we're going to listen to them, locked and empty, and other Middle Eastern countries to hold off any attacks in that the perimeters of a deal has been agreed to. This would include the immediate, complete, and total opening of the Hormuz Strait. I'm going to read it and we'll talk about it in a minute. This would include the immediate, complete, and total opening of the Hormuz Strait and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. Iran was never a nuclear threat. We have the intelligence on that they were never a nuclear threat. Maybe you shouldn't have torn up the JCPOA, but more importantly, the fact that your number one goal that you wrote, you started your sentence with your goal being the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, which wasn't closed until you and Israel decided to attack them February 28th of 2026. Again, he is trying to fix a problem he caused. He is trying to put out a fire that he set. He does not get any he doesn't get any claps for this. No. You're just trying to fix a problem you created. Based on this request, I have agreed for the future benefit of the world and likewise the survival of a successful and prosperous Iran to cancel the attack, subject to being able to rapidly make a deal. The country of Israel joins me in this commitment. Do they? get to work, everybody, and get it done. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So he tacoed once again based off of this outline of a deal that we don't see, never have. And so again, he repeats that the countries themselves, including Iran, asked for him to stop. The Gulf nations are like, stop.
I was asked to by Saudi Arabia, by UAE, and by Qatar, and by Iran. We were all set to go. It's about at this time right now, and it would have been a massive attack. We were all set to go, but when the allies asked to call it off, you got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran.
No. Because to denuclearize them, they would have had to have been nuclearized, and they weren't. Like, he doesn't understand what words mean. He doesn't at all. By the way, your literal username is Kaka. Maybe don't speak to me, but you're saying I'll become a dog walker. What did you say specifically? Because I feel like you said once he retires, which is insane. You don't retire from the presidency. You just are no longer president, and God might take him first. And it wouldn't be God. God's going to send him straight to hell first. No, I'll keep talking about politics. Because politics doesn't stop after Donald Trump leaves this earth or leaves the presidency. So I will still be here talking about politics the same way that I was during the Biden administration. Okay? Glad we're clear. Maybe don't name yourself Kaka. But again, to denuclearize, he'll get dragged away like on Ghost. Yeah. Like dragged away. Oh God, love to see that. Just like on the day, on January 20th, just like dragged away. That would be great. Anyway, you cannot denuclearize a nation unless they have been unless they've been nuclearized before, and they weren't.
Go with the denuclearization of Iran.
So what should we expect?
We're holding it. We'll just see. We can do it anytime we want.
I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to edit myself with that sound into the videos from Ghost. I guarantee you it sounds pretty accurate. I think that was a good imitation. How dare you?
But we were asked by the three primary groups. We were also asked by Iran very strongly.
I don't know. Maybe, Eli. It depends. So me, I will say, sorry to everybody that this is not politics related, but maybe, I don't know what the decibels looked like. Me and my brother did mess with the microphone settings. We took off, there was a noise suppression filter that was on. We removed that and we did a noise gate and a limiter instead so that hopefully it's not as bad. Hopefully. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm going to listen back later.
Actually, they said, we'd like to make a deal. Now, I don't know what they say because a lot of times they'll say that to me and then they'll go out and say, we don't know what he's talking about. Obviously, they don't want to be attacked. And they knew the extent of the attack because they saw it forming.
What happens now?
Well, now what we're doing is we're talking to them in the form of a negotiation. It begins tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if it's true. I'd love to do that. Save a lot of lives, save a lot of unnecessary power. To be honest with you, it will take many, many years to ever build it back. If it could, I don't think it would be even buildable back. So we had an attack that would be the biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous for them, and they didn't want us to do it. And frankly, Saudi Arabia didn't want it either. They thought that a deal is imminent.
Eminent. The deal is imminent. Imminent!
Deadline, sir, on the deal.
I'm guessing that means there was success, Eli.
The deal is imminent, having to do with the Hormuz Strait,
But again, we listened to him say this, so I don't need him to repeat that because I played that clip for you. But it's a longer clip, so it's there for you if you want it. Remember, I do post all of this in my live outline in my Discord after the show, so that you have access to it as well, so you can share it around to yourself if you are a creator up and coming, or you are a creator bigger than me, welcome it, and you would like this information, or anybody you want to share it to as well, just so it's there. So you can share it to your MAGA mother, and say, look, he said this, it happened, deal with it. I wanted to go to, let's see, what was this? Yes, I need to move it over here, though. Granted, this is a visual investigation, and this is a New York Times article that came out. Visuals suggest U.S. dropped 2,000-pound bomb on home in Iran, killing 3. This is the crater that we're talking about here. And they go into an investigation on that. The United States struck a family home in Iran's, I apologize because I know I'm going to mispronounce this, Qeshm Island overnight on Thursday with a large-scale bomb, according to an analysis of videos, photos, and satellite imagery by weapons experts and the New York Times. Iranian officials said the strike had killed a husband and wife and their 2-year-old son. The couple's 2 other children were pulled from the rubble alive. They said, great, we've orphaned children now. Awesome. The size of the crater and munition fragments appear to show the weapon used was a 2,000-pound bomb called a Mark 84, one of the largest conventional bombs used by the U.S. military. The location and time of the strikes are consistent with where and when the United States was operating. The evidence raises questions about what the United States was targeting and why such large munition was used. The strike hit a densely populated neighborhood on the island, which sits in the Strait of Hormuz in southern Iran, and appears to have been part of a flurry of attacks the United States said it had launched to retaliate against earlier strikes by Iran on a base used by American forces in Jordan. The Times found no indication of a military site near the family's home or any reports of military casualties from the strike, which the Iranian authorities typically announce. So again, this is the crater that they had seen, and this is the approximate location of it here now. Roughly 20 neighboring households were displaced by the strike, Iranian officials said, and footage shows debris and damaged vehicles over 200 feet away. Additional strikes also destroyed 2 warehouses outside the city in the same wave of attacks, according to the visual analysis. U.S. Central Command, which announced it had struck targets in southern Iran on Thursday morning, said it was looking into the reports of civilian casualties, but did not respond to questions about the intended target, the munition used, or what precautions have been taken to protect civilians. Oh, similar to like the school in Manab, we're not getting the information in the investigative report on that. But again, of what we've gotten from our own intelligence is that it was us. We are aware of the reports and looking into them, said Captain Tim Hawkins, a Central Command spokesman. The U.S. military never targets civilians. You might not target them, but that doesn't mean you don't kill them. The Times corroborated details in bystander and news footage with satellite imagery to pinpoint the location of the strike and determine the size of the crater. The strike, which occurred in the Chowtangu neighborhood of Qeshm City, an area of tightly clustered homes, also destroyed several structures, leaving a crater at least 30 feet wide. The large crater and structure damage is consistent with a Mark 84 2,000-pound bomb, which can be equipped with JDAM guidance kits, said Trevor Ball, a former U.S. Army explosive ordnance disposal technician and an analyst at Armament Research Services, referring to kits that convert unguided bombs into GPS-guided munitions. Photos published by the Iranian media, he said, showed parts of these guidance kits, though the Times could not confirm whether fragments were recovered. See, to be clear, can't confirm where they were recovered if it was this location or a separate one. Frederic Gross, a French munitions consultant who reviewed the same imagery, also said the crater dimensions matched an airdropped Mark 84 2,000-pound bomb. He said the bomb appeared to have detonated below the surface rather than on impact, and that the sandy ground absorbed parts of the blast, directing the force downward, which limited damage in the surrounding area. We've still killed a 2-year-old. So that's there for you. Looks like we fucking killing more people. What did I want to... Okay. So then Trump keeps saying there's talks. We're having talks. We're talking with Iran. He was asked who's having these talks with Iran.
What
exactly, Chuck? Also 2 orphans.
What is the status of talks? Who from the administration is talking to the Iranians?
They break their word so often. Steve is talking. Jared, we have very good people. JD's involved, very strongly involved. We have great people talking. Marco's involved.
Because they say talks aren't happening.
Very good people. We're the best people. But they'll make a deal. As an example, we'll talk about nuclear. And we'll be in there talking about nuclear for 7 hours. I say, why do you need 7? You can take 10 minutes. You have 5 minutes. You should solve it. But 7 hours. And then they'll go out. And I'll say, they discussed nuclear. And they'll go out and they'll say, we never discussed nuclear. And I'll say, why did they say that? All they do is make me angry.
By the way, don't adjust your television sets. Yes, he does look that orange that day. I don't know why he looked extra orange that day, but he did. This idea that you could have a deal in 5 minutes is silly for what you need to be able to work out with them, what you have done to them. Absolutely not. How long did it take us to get an MOU, which was just a memorandum of understanding that we were going to do a deal within 60 days and stop hostilities and stop threats, and Donald Trump broke that immediately. So interesting to me that you would say that. So then I'm going to show, this was NATO Ambassador Matthew Whitaker. He came on to Fox Business this morning, and he is just out of touch. They're just out of touch because they live in this bubble of glazing his taint.
Ultimately will agree to a deal. And so we can go either direction, and really Iran gets to decide the direction. But we come from a position of strength in the United States. President Trump obviously has his finger on the pulse of this situation. And right now, we're choosing diplomacy, negotiation, and to get a deal done. I think we're closer than we've ever been to a deal on this.
What? Donald Trump has his thumb on the pulse of the situation. Does he? Because he keeps going back and forth on threatening them with military action, the likes of which the world has never seen, and then pulling back from it when the markets fucking skyrocket and crash. Stock markets crash, the oil skyrockets. He keeps tacoing on it. We had an MOU that was immediately violated. A ceasefire, which according to Donald Trump meant that you are firing less, which is not what a ceasefire is. Like, what pulse? Is the pulse? I don't think the pulse is existent. I think he's trying. It's not working. We're closer now to a deal than we ever have been. Where?
This situation, but at the same time, we continue to be in a position of strength as it relates to Iran.
So we're literally not. We're not. We gave out. We don't hold any cards. Donald Trump said we have all the cards. We don't hold any cards. Okay, I'm going to show this a little bit out of order in way of discussion, but I just want to be able to leave off on that part specifically. But remember, we went over last week how Marco Rubio and the State Department is going after the ICC, the International Criminal Court. And I said, I asked you, is it because they plan to do war crimes? They already have done war crimes. Are they protecting Bibi? And a lot of you said all of the Mitch McConnell's pulse. Yeah, that's the pulse he has on. It's Mitch McConnell's pulse. And you guys said all of the above. It's all of the above reasons why the State Department is threatening and going after the ICC and the International Criminal Court. Well, we got an answer. Probably not the best one that they should have gotten, but Donald Trump's answer was...
So we tried to get them to reform and listen to us. They wouldn't do it. They're very arrogant. We've now begun an effort to really try to bring that court to heel.
By the way, there's no information that they're after me. It could happen. But just so you know, just keep talking about it. I'm saying that means that maybe he's not trying to defend me. He is trying to defend Bibi and various other people. But
what? What? Oh, okay. So our Secretary of State in the State Department of the United States of America is going after the ICC to defend Benjamin Netanyahu. Glad we got that on the record. Thank you. Thank you. Just watch Marco's face, by the way, when he says that. It's funny. His eyebrow twitches.
just keep talking about it. I'm saying that means that maybe he's not trying to defend me. He is trying to defend Bibi and various other people. But there are many people that shouldn't be looked at that way. But there is no indication that I'm one of them at this moment.
Well,
war crimes are funny. The ICC coming after you for crimes is funny. Ha 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 ha. So funny. Somebody asked the age-old question about my saying all the Trump bashing, but what are you actually doing? I'm trying to get people who support Trump to come out of it, to have critical thinking skills, to learn how to research information when they say stuff, to actually research behind it and not just listen to the things they say on either side. I don't care who you're supporting. If you have a Democratic candidate who's saying one thing to you, follow what the money is giving them. Who are they being lobbied by? What are the stances that they take? I want people to be able to research that information. That's what I'm doing. and Trumpers are just Trump glazing. But I don't just talk about Trump. I talk about the administration and what they are doing behind him, or the Congress and how feckless they are. But now this, if you want to talk about Trump bashing, this is just me Trump bashing and being petty. What the fuck is he talking about? I'm mad Eli's gone. No, Eli, fuck capitalism. Why'd you have to go back to work? We're going to have to write down the time. 10:38 a.m. Mountain. Because he needs this one. Eli needs this.
The other day you read that 5 missiles were shot. They were going 8,600 miles an hour. Think of it, 8,600. Now a car, if you go 60, it gets to be a little faster. If you go 100, 8,600 miles an hour. And they were big missiles. And they were shot at Jordan. And our guys were there. Bing, 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 bing. 5. Bing, 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 bing. Right? I don't want to be Biden. I had to be very careful. That would have been a great sound.
He says, I don't want to be Biden, so he adds an extra bing because he miscounted the bings for the 6 missiles versus the 5. That's what just happened. Not the talk about using Bing at all.
Now think of it, 8,600. Now a car, if you go 60, it gets to be a little faster. If you go 100, 8,600 miles an hour. And they were big missiles. And they were shot at Jordan. And our guys were there. Bing, 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 bing. 5. Bing, 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 bing. Right? I don't want to be Biden. I had to be very careful. That would have been a great sound bite. There were 5 missiles, and we shot all 5 down before they got close.
Bing, bing, bong.
What? Yeah, they just let him talk. They just let him talk. I told you, he's a toddler. It's like when a toddler comes and tells you something, and you're like, wow, great, baby. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. He's like, mommy, the missiles, bing, 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 bing. Yeah, mm-hmm. They sure went bing, bing. Yep, you're right, baby. What? Okay, I'm going to try and roll through this real quick. I have a couple other things. Donald Trump was, again, asked a question by a reporter, and he decided to ask them, who are they with? Because that's the only thing he has to combat them now. Like when I talk to my boys and I'm just like, yep, cool too. Yeah, I do it. We all do it with our kids. Like, yes, I am interested in the things they have to say, but I just don't want to hear about Kirby and Elflin for the 60th time today. It's like, you're doing great, sweetie. But anyway, he asks this reporter who they're with, and the interaction is just interesting to me because that's how you can show that it's just a bumper sticker, immediate reaction versus who the actual reporter is. He doesn't care. He's doing that for you so that it sounds good. When he asks who the reporter is and says you're terrible, you guys can just disregard the question that was asked or the answer that was given or the lack of answer that was given. Instead of actually focusing, you're just like, yeah, they're with this person.
Great. Everybody wants help from our country.
You said the anti-weapon. I'm with ABC News. You said the
BBC?
ABC.
Oh, ABC. That's worse.
You said the anti-weapon.
I like BBC better than ABC. Go ahead.
The anti-weapon is
great.
I want you to listen again.
Everybody wants help from our country.
You said the anti-weapon. I'm with ABC News. You said the
BBC?
ABC.
Oh, ABC. That's worse.
You said the anti-weapon.
I like BBC better than ABC.
He likes BBC better than ABC. Now, I just have a question. For those who keep track and watch my show on a regular, because we just went over this last week. Who's he suing? Can anybody tell me who he's suing? While I wait for the delay of an answer, W's to Eric again for the another $5. Thank you so much for your support. You said, you do good, fuck MAGA, fuck Trump. We try here. We do try here. So thank you so much. Guys, I have been on almost 2 hours now, and we have barely gotten the goal down. Can we please start working on that, please? This is my job. It's how I pay my bills. I would appreciate if we could focus on that. Dollar Train, $2 Train, $5 Train, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link tree in my bio. I would appreciate it. NBC, PBS, we're just listing them. But the thing we're talking about right now is he's literally suing the BBC. He is suing them, but he likes the BBC better than ABC. And BBC just recently, from the judge, was given the authority to have discovery on his financial records, which is going to be great for him. He's suing the BBC, but he likes them better. Yeah, sure. So then Trump put out a truth this morning about polling. So let's go over that. The real polling numbers, not those made up by the fake news media, are the best they have ever been. And why wouldn't they be with the biggest tax cuts and employment numbers ever? That's not true. The biggest outside investment in America in world history, a totally secure border, a giant victory in Venezuela, the denuclearization of Iran, that's not what that means, unparalleled respect and success throughout the world, and much more, ? Don't believe the radical left's fake poll numbers. They are crooked and corrupt, just like the country-destroying Democrats are crooked and corrupt. Vote Republican for greatness in America. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. Where are these poll numbers? What are his real poll numbers then? Where are the real ones? Where are the real poll numbers that we're missing? Are they the ones inside his head? It sounds like they are because, again, this is a strategy. You guys are sheep. You guys are just glazing his taint. You guys are stuck with bumper stickers that you've been following since he came onto the scene. This was him in 2021.
You have a poll coming out. Unfortunately, I want to know what it is. They do that straw poll, right? Now, if it's bad, I say it's fake. If it's good, I say that's the most accurate poll perhaps ever taken.
And we saw this in action. All these polls with his truth this morning saying that they are not real, they are fake. But the CNN poll saying that 100% of MAGA still supported him, by the way, that number has gone down, I think, to like 78%, is true. The CNN poll having MAGA supporting him 100% was true. All these other polls are fake. Every single other one. This is a tactic. And he has brainwashed you to repeat it. Come out of it. Come out of it. He told you. He told you what he does. And you guys just keep supporting him. I don't fucking understand it. And then here he went off about celebrating his communism, I guess.
On that deal. On Venezuela, we make hundreds of billions of dollars. I make good deals. Intel, I made $75 billion for the country. I didn't make for me, I made for the country. Intel, I backed Intel. It's the hottest stock right now on the New York Stock.
I mean, your company run by your sons also purchased shares in Intel. And it went up after you decided you were going to have a stake in it. But I thought we didn't like communism. I thought we didn't like it when the government took stake in private corporations. We like it now? Nobody believes me or CNN. Donald Trump did. Donald Trump believed CNN's poll about MAGA Republicans supporting him 100%. He touted it for a good 2 weeks. So Donald Trump did. Nice slur.
On the various stock exchanges. So we made about $75 to $80 billion on that deal.
Okay. I would like to see the proof of that. Where's that money coming in? I haven't seen any proof of that, but sure. But you guys are fine with communism as long as Trump does it. Communism. It's not even communism, I say. It's not. Hi, Raina. Okay, now I'm going to go through this real quick economy portion. This was part of a cabinet meeting that we saw. This was Scott Bessent, and he had a note. He had a note on his desk. And that note for Scott Bessent said, to do. He wrote a to-do list. We love a little honey-do list. To do. Buy Japanese yen. 5 to 10 billion. $5 to $10 billion worth of Japanese yen. Why? Because the Japanese market is crashing. It's falling apart. Now, Donald Trump gets asked why we're intervening with Japanese yen right now.
Mr. President, why is the U.S. intervening to support the Japan yen at this time?
To support who?
To support the Japanese currency.
Because we have a good relationship with Japan. We're very strong, very, very strong financially. They are, they have a weakening yen, and they wanted a little bit of help, and we're always there for Japan. Japan's been very good to us, with the exception, of course, of Pearl Harbor.
Mr. President,
They were not good.
what is the U.S. getting out of that arrangement?
Financial benefit. Financial benefit. It's also good
What are we getting out of that arrangement? Financial benefit. Okay. What financial benefit?
for the world economy. But we make, like when we did with Argentina, I got criticized, we made $25 billion on that deal.
There's been no proof of that.
On Venezuela, we make hundreds of billions of dollars.
There's no proof of that.
I make good deals. Intel, I made $75 billion.
So then he goes off on Intel, which I just played for you, so I don't need to. Here's the deal. This is why we're interfering with Japanese yen. Japanese yen is failing. It's falling apart. They're having issues caused by us because of the war with Iran, where they get their oil. Japan holds a shit ton of U.S. debt. Japan owns a lot of U.S. debt, because we commodify everything with capitalism. We even sell debt. They own a crap ton of our debt. If their yen starts to fail, what are they going to do with that debt? What are they going to do with it? Anybody know? No, they won't collect it. They'll sell it. They'll sell it. They will sell it, and the issue with selling our debt is it can raise inflation. Or not inflation, raise interest rates with the Fed. When you start to see, that was part of the issue with Liberation Day. When you had Liberation Day happen and the markets crashed, you have people starting to sell U.S. Treasury bonds. That's bad. You have people starting to sell U.S. debt. That's bad. That's why he tacoed. That's why we're here helping the Japanese yen now and pouring our money into it, because we don't want them to sell our debt. It will raise interest rates. He doesn't want that. So don't let them fool you. It's not altruism or the kindness of their heart. The financial benefit is to ensure that they don't sell our debt that they own. Just to make sure. I put this in economy because it's Kevin Hassett. But can somebody explain to me what the fuck he's talking about? We're trying to do the Red Scare again, and it's just not working. What if they collect? No, because they know that it's going to be worthless to them to try and collect. It makes more sense to sell it to another country.
Telling Joe Manchin, what do you mean you can't support? What about all the good parts of socialism? Can't you support any of that? We actually had a legacy media type, trying to force poor Joe into saying something good about socialism.
What you really need to do, Joe, like find whoever the leading scholar right now on Hayek, The Road to Serfdom. Everybody should read The Road to Serfdom right now.
I know.
How socialism
Mandatory.
leads to totalitarianism. But there must be some person who just wrote their thesis about that. Bring them on the show and let them explain it to everybody. Because Hayek came in, what happened was after World War II, because we had centralized production to defeat the Nazis, there were a whole bunch of socialists in the UK and the US that wanted to take over the economy because they said, look, we've already centralized production, so let's just be socialist. That's why the CEA was created. That's why the OECD was created, because there were non-socialists who wanted to stand up and stop that before we created a road to serfdom. And so, yeah, definitely bring somebody in to talk about Hayek.
Got to learn it. Reagan was talking about freedom, but...
Okay, but it's fine when Donald Trump has the government buy stakes in Intel and all these other companies.
You can't pass this down genetically. Every generation, and we're failing because generations apparently aren't learning about. And socialism is not far from.
Yeah, because we don't fund our schools. Thank you for walking right into the point, Joe Kernan. We don't fund the education in this country, so no, they're not learning about this. They're not learning about the economy. I think the most I learned was how to balance a checkbook, which who even uses a checkbook barely anymore.
Communism, and then you got, the sticky little situation where 100 million people die or worse. But anyway.
He has no clue what he's talking about. None. He's just like, socialism, Red Scare, Kevin, or not Kevin. Kevin McCarthy is a different person, but McCarthyism. Like, what? What are we doing? W's to Omni Artist. Thank you so much, Omni Artist, for the $5. You said, thanks for making, let me open the whole thing. Thank you for making my logic blatantly clear to MAGA how brainwashed they are. Love you, Monty. Got laid off from job, so it might be a while before I can do this again. Well, thank you. Please do not send me anything that is going to put you in a harder state. Okay, I want to make that clear. If you cannot, because of financial circumstances, because the world is fucking burning, because of this administration, just tap for me. Just support in that way if you're watching on TikTok, or hit that thumbs up on YouTube. Just, just be here. Engage in the chat. That does help boost the algorithm too. Boost the algorithm. So thank you. But thank you for the $5. I appreciate you so much for that. Thank you. Also, Subu, thank you, Subu34, for the $6. As always, thank you for your hard work. Thank you so much for your support. Subu, I always see you in here, and I also see you in other chats. We are in similar places around these TikTok streets. And so I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. All right, that would be 10. That would be 4. Yes. Math I can do. Okay, as we come up on the hour, guys, only about $100, a little over $100 left. Let's make sure that we are working on that when we can. Just bing, bing, bing that screen. Yeah, just bing, bing, bing that screen. Just do that. Okay, with the hour that I have left, I want to get into this. I'm going to give a trigger warning again anytime we go into a healthcare section. We are going to play the entire interview that RFK Jr. did with Dana Bash. There will be a lot of stopping. There will be a lot of crashing out and going over it. But it's going to cover things like measles outbreak. It's going to cover things like COVID. So I just want to give a trigger warning to all the people that I love in the chat who have had situations where COVID was hard, because apparently the Trump administration is trying to rewrite history. We are not going to let that happen. And so we are going to go over it. I would like to also thank anyone who was a healthcare professional who worked during the time of COVID. I want to make sure you know that you are appreciated and that your work is appreciated and was appreciated, that you threw yourselves into the line of danger every single day, and that you threw your lines into the emotional labor required to be around these people who could not be around loved ones as they died, and the toll that that took on you, and the toll that it took on your families. And I want to say thank you for being frontline workers doing that job. I will not let them stain that history. Not on this platform, at least. Hi, Dawn. How are you? Good morning. So we're going to watch this interview, but I just wanted to give that trigger warning out and that appreciation out to everybody. Okay? Let's get going here. Oop, camera. Okay.
You have been placing nearly all the blame on the COVID pandemic and the way that the U.S. responded to it squarely with Dr. Fauci. But of course, he worked for President Trump. Does President Trump also deserve some of the blame?
Well, President Trump, as you recall, wanted to end the lockdowns. I think the thing that did the most damage to our country was the lockdowns that shut down 3.5 million businesses in our country with no due process, no just compensation, all of our...
So the thing that did the most damage, I'm already pissed. I'm already mad. I told you guys, that's why I gave a trigger warning. The thing that did the most damage to our country during that time was the lockdowns, because it shut down businesses. Oh, because the capital wasn't flowing to the rich people. Not the thousands of people that were dying every day. Not that. Yeah, what were PPP loans? If there was no just compensation, what were PPP loans?
Our churches closed our schools, and our children are still paying the price for that. And yet we had the worst outcome of any country in the world.
How so?
We have the highest death rate from COVID of any nation on earth.
Well, let me...
What? We have the highest death rate from COVID of any nation on earth. False. That's not true. It's not true. I think it was Italy had a higher rate than we did at the time. China had a very high rate. What are you talking about? Nations that didn't have the infrastructure of government that we do to be able to do lockdowns had higher death rates than we did. We saw this even within the states. When Florida having the highest rate of COVID deaths in the entire nation because they chose to lock down for a smaller amount of time with really, really lax restrictions. Italy, Russia, I think Germany and France had higher rates. I remember Italy for sure. Like, I remember Italy was a whole ass problem with the amount of deaths that they had in their country. So he's lying.
Let me just say, because I've heard you say that before on the death rate from COVID, it's not accurate because public health experts say that there is a combination of factors that went into that: higher rates of chronic illnesses, which I know you would agree with, gaps to our healthcare system, and misinformation about vaccines.
But you just said what I said was inaccurate. What I said was accurate. We had the highest death rate from COVID of any place.
There are other countries that had.
That's not true. That's not true. Also, Blue, you make up a good point. If that was true, who was in charge? Donald Trump was in charge. That's not true.
Unfortunately, it was the U.S. with 1.2 million, and then
Per capita?
Brazil, and then India.
Where's your source from? Oh my God. Husband.
It's Worldometer that they have the total deaths on there. It's not by capita. It's just by country.
Okay, well, that's stupid then. Like,
But he said total deaths. He didn't say per capita.
why?
So
Because we
like,
have a bigger population.
you got me over here defending RFK.
Yeah, just stop doing that.
Yeah, U.S., Brazil, then India.
Sure.
for
Okay.
total.
Sure. Who did that? Chicky. Sure. Okay. Total deaths, not per capita deaths, but total deaths. Now, Worldometer is insane, but total deaths. Who was in charge? Who was in charge? Sure, I'll accept that. I have no problem accepting that. Who was in charge?
Higher, but
you can argue
go ahead.
about why we had that.
Okay.
But nobody.
But that's what I want to argue, though. I want to argue why. I want to argue why. He's back.
Okay, so then John Hopkins, if you're going per capita, it's Peru, Mexico, then Ukraine
Okay.
for top 3.
Yeah. But
Okay,
why?
Chicky, drop me.
Okay, Chicky, drop me. I'm just gonna leave him here. Mia did it.
I can tell you, I mean, we have, as you say, we have the highest chronic disease burden in the world. But Anthony Fauci was mismanaging the COVID pandemic, and he was doing it under the Biden administration.
What? Now, COVID did go into Biden's administration. This is true. The deadliest strain was into 2021. But people were still dying under Trump's administration when he appointed Fauci, right?
And Trump wanted to end the lockdowns. And in fact, in Anthony Fauci's diaries, he talks about how President Trump is calling him every day, trying to get him to reopen the country.
Yeah, well, the lockdowns were done by governors.
So Fauci is writing in his diary how Donald Trump is calling him every single day to try to get him to reopen the country. Yeah, he probably wrote that in his diary, and he was probably thinking when he wrote in his diary, you dumbass, I can't reopen the country. That is on the governors, but it is on the CDC's recommendations that we should have a lockdown, but it is on the governors to be able to do so because we have the 10th Amendment and states' rights. Governors, as Dana Bash points out, governors were in charge of lockdowns, the duration, the restrictions.
I mean, certainly Anthony Fauci and the president had opinions, but the lockdowns were done by governors, and largely because they
were citing the CDC, they were citing who? They were citing the CDC and who? More people would have died if we hadn't a lockdown. This is insanity. This is insane rewrite of history. This is insane.
From hospitals saying that their ICUs were overrun and they needed some help while that was happening.
Well, that's not true. That's just not true.
It is
what
true.
you're saying is not true. No, they were doing it because Anthony Fauci was telling them from the top, you need to lock down. There were ICUs that...
Not that you need to, that it's recommended that you should. Not that you need to, he can't force them to. That it's a recommendation that we should lock down because of how it was spreading. It was spreading so fast, and we didn't understand how it was spreading so fast. People don't fucking remember. We didn't know how it was spreading. People were wiping down their mail with antibacterial wipes because we thought it was by touch. People were standing in their garages, taking off their clothes from their work days and leaving them in their garage and putting on a separate pair before even being near their families and their children because we thought it was by touch. Because we did not have information at the time. Science was trying to evolve to study it as it was killing people. So yes, we were trying to slow the spread. We were trying to slow the spread, and the best way to do that with a fucking virus that is killing thousands of people a day is to lock it down except for essential workers. To ensure that we're not spreading it around because you're going to the goddamn movie theater. You didn't need to go to the goddamn movie theater when thousands of people were dying.
We're empty all over the country, including in New York at the height.
I'm asking you, I'm going to go back to what I asked you at the beginning, which is President Trump. And he was the guy in charge. And you tweeted back in 2024 that he let bureaucrats like Anthony Fauci shut down the entire country. Again, the president was in charge.
The president was trying to reopen the country when he left. The country was kept closed for another year, almost a year and a half after that.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about how to prevent.
Yeah, because when Donald Trump left, we had the deadliest strain of COVID enter the scene. Now, that's not his fault, but the virus was mutating and mutating at a rapid rate. And so we had, which one was the deadliest? Was it Omicron? Or Delta? I can't even remember which fucking variant. It's been so long. I can't believe we're still talking about this. We had the deadliest variant come into play. Omicron was weak, you're right. It was Delta. Delta came into play, and people were dying. Let's look it up, because I don't want to be... Let's look it up together. So then, I'm going to see where they're getting it from. National Institutes of Health. Let's see, Alpha. COVID-19 mortality during the dominancy of Alpha, Delta, and Omicron. Where's your chart? I saw you had a fancy chart. I want to see it. Let's see. I think it was Delta. Is it Delta? Because Alpha would have been the first. Followed by Delta was the deadliest, followed closely by Omicron. Okay, thank you. Sorry. I just want to be accurate when I say things. That's why we do research on the fly here. This will also be available. I will keep this right here so that is also available for us. So Delta. When Delta came around, people were dying at an even bigger rate. So why would we open the government before Donald Trump left when we had Delta?
The next pandemic. Because there's a lot of litigating and relitigating that I don't think is really helpful to do with regard to COVID. And the question is about so-called gain of function, which for people who aren't entirely clear about it, it is a highly risky research process that includes manipulating a virus to study how it behaves as it evolves. Now, what scientists say is that although it's controversial, it's necessary to prepare for the next pandemic, to get ahead of it, to figure out what these viruses can do. You want to end this gain of function research. Some scientists say, isn't it better just to put better guardrails around it?
People have been trying to put guardrails around it for generations, and it hasn't worked. And clearly, COVID-19 pandemic and many other global pandemics that we have come from gain of function research.
He has no proof of that. He has no scientific consensus of proof of that. That was a lie. He is saying COVID came from gain of function research. We don't know that. We don't know that. There was money put into gain of function research, but we don't know that COVID came from it. Coronavirus has been around for centuries. This was just a strain we weren't fucking prepared for, which is why the vaccine itself was something we had been studying for decades. It wasn't experimental, it wasn't new. This strain was new. That's it. Coronavirus itself wasn't new. By the way, I don't have the clip. He also went on to say that Lyme disease came from gain of function research. I just want you all to know that he said that. You can look it up. I'm not lying. He said it. RFK Jr. is saying that Lyme disease, a disease we've known about for the last 60,000 years, came from gain of function research. That's who we're dealing with.
RSV.
Real quick before I do that, let me get into a message that I have from Steph. Steph for the $10. He said free mutes for your mods to fight over. So that, guys, you can fight over that in the mod chat. Have fun with that, with your mutes. How are we still over $100 left on the goal? Well, thanks to you, Steph. We are now down to 94. Guys, we're moving a little slow on this, and I have about an hour left. So let's work on that, please. I would appreciate it getting this down. Thank you so much. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link trees in my bio to start working on that. I see that we hit 228,000 likes. So apparently Mia Prime, yelling at you about the tapping worked. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Optimus Mia Prime, for that. I think we can definitely hit 300,000 before we end today. We can do it. We can hit more than that. I know you guys can. So go ahead and keep tapping. I appreciate you.
Epidemic that we have that is the biggest killer of kids in this country today came from these kind of experiments. The Lyme disease almost certainly came from this kind of research.
Oh, I'm sorry. He says it in this video. Lyme disease almost certainly came from this kind of research. Lyme disease came from gain of function research. Not that it's something we've literally known about for 60,000 years. Okay.
So, and the scientists who you say are experts are making the argument that this is necessary for pandemic response cannot point to one instance in history where research that came out of this kind of experimentation has actually provided us something beneficial.
So how do you prepare then? How do you prepare for the next pandemic? I mean, that's literally part of your job now because experts.
I would question that. I would question where gain of function hasn't led to any kind of preparedness for a pandemic. I think that would be silly. I think that's how we get to things like having the mRNA vaccine coming from SARS. I think that's how we get to that kind of research. So I don't know where he's coming from with that. But let's move on to her question, which is how do you prepare for the next pandemic? What's the plan?
I think it's going to happen within the next 10 years again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did virtually everything wrong the last time.
So what about now?
We did virtually everything wrong the last time. Who was in charge the last time? The Trump administration? What did he do on his first day in office? Oh, he got rid of and fired the pandemic response team? Yeah, I agree. You probably did do everything wrong the first time. Maybe don't fire the pandemic response team. Maybe don't lie to the American people about what is going on when we knew in, what was it? He knew in like September that something was going on. We didn't know till about November, December when we got our first case. Don't tell everybody it's going to be gone by Easter because of the heat. When you don't know, you had nothing to back that up. Don't do that. That would be bad. You did everything wrong the first time. Yeah. Don't tell people to inject disinfectant. Don't do that. That would be the bad idea. Yeah, you did everything wrong the first time. You're right.
The principal thing that we need to do is we need to listen to what's happening to doctors on the ground. There are 15 million frontline physicians around the world. They're mainly now connected through the internet. We can tell on the front lines what's working and what's not. If we had listened to those doctors during the COVID pandemic, we would have saved potentially millions of lives.
Which doctors? Cite them. Which doctors should we have listened to save countless more lives? Who? Ivermectin? Hydroxychloroquine? Is that who we should have listened to? Remember, he's not a doctor. I just want to be clear, real quick. Yeah, Fauci is one of those doctors. He's literally a virologist. But sure, studied viruses his entire life. But let's listen to the EPA lawyer. Let's listen to the environmental lawyer on the expertise within medicine. Sure.
There were therapeutics out there that were working. There were doctors that were having no deaths from COVID and treating, in some cases, thousands of patients.
Cite that. I want this information. Cite it. Don't just say stuff. He's really bad about this. He will say stuff. I want the citation for this.
And we weren't listening to them. Instead, we were doing the opposite. We were shutting them down. And then, Dana, the other thing that I would say is that we need to protect our constitutional rights. That is the primary obligation of our country. Well, during COVID, we completely dismantled our constitutional rights. We began censoring people in violation of the First Amendment.
The government didn't censor anybody. The private platforms themselves, the private social media platforms chose to censor people who were giving out false information, giving out misinformation on COVID and its treatment, and they were silenced by a private platform, which they are allowed to do. The government, the only thing that we have is Mark Zuckerberg saying that he felt pressured by the Biden administration. Feeling pressure is not a violation of your First Amendment. Zuckerberg choosing to do it is not a violation of the First Amendment. It was, yeah, exactly. It was disinformation. It was misinformation. It was going to harm the society as a whole to share this information out. Why were you guys okay with that?
But you're saying what not to do. I'm asking what to do. But I want to talk about.
That's something to do. That is the number one priority. We protect the Constitution. The Constitution was written.
Forgive me, but you're talking about rights, and I'm asking about a potential public health crisis that is coming. But I do want to
still kick and cite them. Cite the doctors. I'll look them up later after I'm off live. I'll look them up. I'll do an update.
And one of the mistakes we made in the last time was suppressing those rights so people weren't being heard. The doctors who were saying you're doing it wrong were being marginalized and vilified.
Yeah,
and
because again, I really want to move on, but
yeah,
you were saying you were
yes,
I
were
do.
part of the problem.
No, I wasn't part of the problem.
Oh, it was Dana Bash's fault that thousands of people were dying every day. It's Dana Bash's fault that thousands of people were dying every day.
It's absolute press malpractice. You weren't allowing your
Mr.
job,
Secretary,
your job is a fierce skepticism toward authority. And
Yes,
you weren't
I am.
doing that.
She was doing that. They were. Because the authority, Donald Trump, was telling people to take horse dewormer. So they were doing that. They were being skeptic of the shit he was saying. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit, it's bullshit, it's bullshit. What they did is they would take Fauci's recommendations, and it wasn't just Fauci. What was the other? I can never remember her name. But the woman who was standing there when he talked about injecting disinfectant, sitting there as a part of the CDC's team and the WHO, and looking like, oh my God, he's really saying this right now? They also were up there saying what they said about social distancing, about wearing masks, about all the scarf lady. And the news was coming on and saying, this is where they're getting this recommendation from. This is why they're issuing this recommendation. They were covering it. They just weren't covering it the way he likes because he's an anti-vaxxer and a skeptic. Thank you, Still Kicking. I'm going to write those down. I've heard of Bhattacharya, but he's a Trump simp. But I'll look him up.
I am. My job is also
dissenting.
No. Okay, you want to sit here and attack me, or do you want to have conversations
sitting
about
here and
public health?
attacking me.
I'm not attacking you. I'm asking questions about how to
And
prevent
let me
the next
answer the
pandemic.
question, and I'll tell you.
That's what I'm trying to do. But I also don't want to use this interview to allow you to say things that aren't entirely true. You're talking about therapeutics, fine. It is also factually true that the COVID vaccine worked. The COVID vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data. Let's talk about the measles, please, because this is something that is happening as we speak. The
You think
cases
the
in the
COVID
U.S.
vaccine protected children?
I think that what I have talked to scientists and doctors
You've talked
about.
to scientists. Can you show me one study
Yes, I can.
that shows that
I can.
children were protected by the COVID vaccine?
I can tell you that there are.
vaccine did more good than harm to children. Can you show me one study that shows that?
I can tell you that.
Yes, every single study. And that's across children and adults. Every single study says. Why is that like that? Sorry, I was trying to fix my screen. Every single study we have said that there was more good done than harm due to these vaccines. Can you cite me a different one?
That when it comes to the vaccine, there have been studies that show that because of vaccine disinformation, there could have been 100 to 200,000 lives in the U.S. saved. But because people didn't get the vaccine, that's why. I'm not saying that it entirely.
You are saying nonsense. You are saying something that you cannot show me a single study.
I am not saying nonsense.
You are talking what somebody told you.
So now he's going to crash out. He's crashing out because she had it. She did. She said, look, this is what we got.
True. You're talking about therapeutics. Fine. It is also factually true that the COVID vaccine worked. The COVID vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data. Let's talk about the measles, please, because this is something that is happening as we speak. The cases in the U.S.
vaccine protected children.
I think that what I have talked to scientists and doctors
You've talked
about.
to scientists. Can you show me one study?
Yes, I can.
That shows that
I can.
Children were protected by the COVID vaccine.
I can tell you that there are.
vaccine did more good than harm to children. Can you show me one study that shows that?
I can tell you that when it comes to the vaccine, there have been studies that show that because of vaccine disinformation, there could have been 100 to 200,000 lives in the U.S. saved. But because people didn't get the vaccine, that's why. I'm not saying that it entirely.
The studies that we have show that because of the disinformation emanated by this fucking administration, his first term, and people online like you, MAGA, more people died. More people died because of that. Now, Dana Bash is, I'm going to critique Dana Bash. She is not as prepared as she should be or should have been for this interview. By any stretch of the imagination, not prepared. I would have preferred if she had somebody like Mehdi Hassan on who would have been able to off-rip go at him. But unfortunately, it is what it is. It's what we got. But either way, it doesn't even matter because he crashes out regardless.
Saying nonsense. You are saying something that you cannot show me a single study.
I am not saying nonsense.
You are talking what somebody told you.
Excuse me.
And you cite me the study. What study?
No, what studies are you talking about?
What studies are you citing? What studies are you citing? He hasn't cited one.
Talking about studies that actually don't exist. I want to talk about.
Cite me the study that you're talking about.
I am not here to defend.
Studies. Cite me the study.
This is not productive. I am not here to defend all of the. Let me
You're
finish.
talking nonsense. You're making assertions you can't support, and then when I call you on them, you're telling me that I'm arguing.
Okay. Do you want to talk about assertions that you can't support? I'll get there in a second. Let me just say, for the record, that I am not saying that the entire way that the COVID reaction was accurate. It was a scary time, and people made mistakes. Absolutely.
You were scaring people.
Why are you saying that?
Because that was the job of CNN.
Okay.
What? To put the chyrons up about how many people are dying.
were trying
to tell the truth. It was CNN's job to tell the truth about the amount of people that were dying, writing it on the chyron every single night. Yeah, that was their job. It wasn't to fear monger. It wasn't to scare people. It was to let people know that people are fucking dying, you psychopath. That is their job. They were being transparent to say how many people were dying in our country every single day. People were dying.
We were listening to the leaders in this country, including the president, who had a daily press conference explaining what was going on and trying to listen.
Were you listening?
I want to talk to measles.
Actually, were you reading the science yourself?
The measles cases in the.
She read it as it came out. Of course, I would assume. She read the science as it came out. What are you citing to the contrary of what the consensus of the scientific community is? Yeah, the president got vaccinated, and also the president gets his booster every single year. Still.
The U.S. just reached a 35-year high. The second record-breaking year in a row, 93% of these cases are among the unvaccinated. The outbreak has happened on your watch. And even before becoming HHS secretary, for years, you have been one of the leading voices questioning the efficacy of vaccines.
So we're going to pivot to measles, but before we do, I still am going to look more into this, but luckily I have a wonderful, beautiful community. Thank you, Blue, for this. The core thesis of Kulldorff and Bhattacharya's Great Barrington Declaration relies on the big words for Elmo, epidemiological hallucination of demographic segregation. The John Snow Memorandum, supported by the consensus of over 7,000 public health scientists, clinically amputated this logic. It's explicitly demonstrated that multi-generational housing structures and the inescapable reliance on working-class care staff make shielding vulnerable populations mathematically impossible without aggressive community transmission suppression. So 7,000 scientists disagreed with Kulldorff and Bhattacharya. Again, I'm looking for a scientific consensus on the things that you are claiming. We're not seeming to find it. So we're going to pivot to measles. You guys can't see on the screen because I'm trying to make it so I don't get flagged. U.S. measles cases reached 35-year high.
Do you accept some responsibility for this measles outbreak?
Absolutely not. First of all, this is an international outbreak. And we're doing better at handling it than any country in the world. Mexico has 15 times the amount of measles per capita that we have.
Gary, I have a friend who worked in the same hospital that your mom did, and he says your mom's a lying fucking cunt.
Canada has 4 times the amount of measles. England has 2 times the amount of measles. Did I cause those measles outbreaks?
You're the most famous.
Did I cause 137,000 cases?
You're the most famous vaccine skeptic on the planet.
Let me tell you, because actually Anthony Fauci in his diaries answers the question about why we're having a measles outbreak right now. The reason we're having a measles outbreak because of the COVID lockdowns, because people didn't, like children.
What? When were the COVID lockdowns? But when did they end? Because let's be clear, when did they end? When did we officially lift the restrictions, the CDC recommendation for lockdowns? When did that stop? When did lockdown officially stop? 2022. Our measles cases didn't start going up until towards the end of 2024 into 2025. How is this the fault of COVID lockdowns? How is the measles outbreak the fault of COVID lockdowns? Let's see.
Actually, Anthony Fauci in his diaries answers the question about why we're having a measles outbreak right now. The reason we're having a measles outbreak because of the COVID lockdowns, because people didn't, like children, during that period did not get vaccinated. And in his diaries, he said...
Oh, okay. So it was allegedly a lack of vaccination of children during the lockdowns. Now, I want to be clear. I am in a state that had a pretty strict lockdown. I'm in Colorado. Me and my children didn't go out. I'm a stay-at-home mother. My children were very young at the time. My son was not in school yet. My daughter was in preschool, and she was doing online preschool. They were doing Zoom preschool every day for half a day. I still took them to their appointments regularly where they had vaccinations. That's not true. That's not true. Kids were getting vaccinated. But he is admitting in this, while trying to blame COVID lockdowns, what he is admitting is that vaccinations save lives, specifically with measles. Thank you, RFK Jr., for the concession.
As this is going to cause massive outbreaks in measles and more children, he says this, are going to die. Let me finish, because you could accuse me of something. Now, let me...
No, I didn't. I asked you a question.
Yeah, let me give you the answer. He says
Zoom preschool caused measles. Yeah, it was the preschool Zoom meetings. It was the webcams that caused the measles.
in his diaries, more children are going to die from measles because of these lockdowns than COVID. So if you want to know, and that age group that should have gotten the MMR when they were 18 months and didn't get it, they're the ones being infected. The people in this country, and we have stopped the outbreaks at record speed in South Carolina, in Texas, in Utah, in Virginia. We've done better than any country in the world. I dispatch immediately the epidemic intelligence services.
I can't stand either of you. I just want you to know. Sparky, well, to be fair, it's a virus, right? Computers catch viruses. Can they give them? Maybe. Dawn, you said no one got their cootie shots during the Zooms. Yeah, maybe not. Circle, circle, dot, dot. I got my cootie shot. You think that booty's hot? I think I'd rather not. Okay, you got it. Deduct $2 from the pool to kick, because Still Kicking got muted for the day.
To those states, I get on the phone with the governor and we stop them in their tracks. Nobody else has been able to do that.
You have a bully pulpit.
Let me tell you just one last thing.
He's freaking out.
The communities that are suffering from measles are almost all religious communities that just don't vaccinate. The Mennonites have not vaccinated since 1796, since Edward Jenner invented.
Sure, that's a religious exemption issue, but you yourself have been advocating vaccine skepticism for years. Donald Trump has been doing it now for years. You have been vaccine skeptics and saying that out loud to the world. The Mennonites themselves are not the reason we're having this fucking measles outbreak, because as you point out, the Mennonite community has not been vaccinating for a long time. Like, that didn't cause an increase in measles cases all of a sudden.
The smallpox vaccine, it's hard to blame that on me as much as you want to blame
No,
it
I don't
on
want to
me.
blame you. I'm asking you because you have.
She's not blaming you. She's asking you why you're not advocating more loudly for people to vaccinate their children for measles. Instead, you're doing the opposite.
Have a very powerful voice on these issues for people who are skeptical. Let me finish.
And we
Let me
asked,
finish.
and I've never questioned the efficacy of the MMR vaccine.
Okay, let me finish.
I've
What I want you to do
Bullshit.
is
Bullshit.
please
Bullshit.
use your bully pulpit to right now, as we're getting close to back to school, are you willing to say to parents who have not vaccinated their kids that they should vaccinate their kids for measles because it is safe and it will help them save their children's lives?
We tell people on my websites, my public
Right now,
pronouncement, I'll
look
say
into the
it right
camera.
now that parents should get their children vaccinated for measles.
Parents should get their children vaccinated for measles. You heard it here first. RFK Jr., part of the MAGA Maha bullshit ass administration, has said it. Get your kids vaccinated for measles. There is no evidence to the contrary. There is no evidence of harm to it. We had measles eradicated in this country until you fucking crystal crunchy mom vaccine skeptic assholes came out and had it coming up again. It was fucking eradicated in the United States. Vaccinate your kids. Vaccinate your kids for measles. Holy fucking Christ, it should not have been that hard. Who was that? David in the YouTube chat said, maybe when you learn how to talk without cussing, we'll listen. Get tough, baby back bitch. I thought you guys were the alphas. I thought you guys were so strong. As Audrey said, did I hurt your princess feelings by saying the word fuck? Okay, cool. We're going to keep going with this. I told you it was going to be long. It was going to be angering, but we're going to keep going. But W's to Omi Oh My. Huge W's to Omi Oh My for the $30. For the topic today has been a nice return down memory / hell lane. Yes, that's why I said I gave that trigger warning beforehand, and I wanted to thank the frontline workers who did what they did because it's hell. It's absolutely hell, and we knew it was hell. Guys, with 30 minutes left, while we're sitting here, actually, 30 minutes left, we're at 244,000 likes. I know we can hit that 300,000, guys. Keep working, keep tapping, keep doing the things. I appreciate you so much. If you're watching over here on TikTok, I have the rosas up on my screen right up there as my gift. If you guys would like to work towards that, that would be amazing to get that accomplished. Don't forget, I have my brand new refreshed gift gallery. If we can start working on like the donuts or the hat and mustaches to get those accomplished and lit up for this week so it's less for us to do, that would be amazing. If you're watching on YouTube and you have not hit that thumbs up button, will you do that? I would appreciate it so very much. And I have 6-4 left in my goal with 30 minutes left to go. Let's get that accomplished, shall we?
Do you know you have 30 minutes? Are you kidding me? 30, yes.
So let's make sure we're working on that Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link trees in my bio across all platforms.
This vaccine is effective. It stops measles in about 97% of the cases. Well, people should get vaccinated.
Can I ask you?
Oh, you see the defeat in his face by saying it? I just want him to repeat it one more time.
Let me finish.
I've
What I want you to do is please use your bully pulpit to right now, as we're getting close to back to school, say, are you willing to say to parents who have not vaccinated their kids that they should vaccinate their kids for measles because it is safe and it will help them save their children's lives?
We tell people on my websites, my public
Right now,
pronouncement, I'll
look
say
into the
it right
camera.
now that parents should get their children vaccinated for measles. A measles vaccine is effective. It stops measles in about 97% of the cases. Well, people should get vaccinated.
Can I ask you, the Wall Street Journal reported that the president
Stops measles in 97% of cases. People should get vaccinated. Thank you, Lakin. You said South Carolina had an uptick in measles, just like North Carolina. So, that was a lie, just saying. Demographics, over 90% of those infected were unvaccinated, heavily impacting school-age children. The timeline, October 2nd, 2025 through March 15th of 2026, declared over April 26, 2026. Total cases, 997 confirmed cases. Geographic count center, primarily Spartanburg County, 940 cases, with minor spread to neighboring Greenville, Anderson, and Pickens counties. And I actually have a map of an overall, too, that I will get to before this ends.
President is pressuring you to conduct studies probing the link between vaccines and autism. Is that true?
Did you say probing the link?
I'm just quoting the Wall Street Journal, that the president wants you to go further to probe the link between autism and vaccines.
He certainly does.
Okay. Now,
yes, he wants them to find a link between vaccines and autism. Still haven't seen it.
Have you talked to him about medical research that have studied this for 25 years and found no link between autism and vaccines? And this is my question here, because I don't want to litigate that. My question is, why not, because you are HHS secretary now, why not study what could cause autism, which scientists do believe starts with fetal brain development? Why not do some studies on that, whether you're an environmental lawyer, whether there are environmental factors that go into contributing to a predisposed genetic situation?
Well, let me say this first. We're doing all those things, and that's one of the ways that we found Tylenol. There's 73 studies out there that link Tylenol exposure during later pregnancy and during the perinatal period to autism onset.
Cite it. Cite the 70-something studies. Cite them. I want to see them. I want to read them. I want to read into the methodology. I want to read into the conclusions. Cite them. Cite them.
But you are wrong when you say that this issue has been studied. It has been studied, and you're rolling your eyes, Dana. But
I
this
am,
is another
because I don't want to have you use our air to say this. There have been more than 40 studies involving 5.6 million people to conclude there is no link between vaccines and autism. This is the head of the Committee of Infectious Diseases for the American Academy of Pediatrics.
And now let me tell you what the Institute of Medicine is.
Oh, now we're going to degrade the institute that ran the study of millions of people because it disagrees with him and what he feels in his tum-tum.
Says, which is the National Academy of Sciences, which is the ultimate arbiter on vaccine safety, and which it does not have an interest in this debate. It says that none of the 8 vaccines that are administered during the first 6 months of life have ever been
I got the warning anyway.
studied for relationship to autism. It found 2 studies, one on the DTP vaccine, that showed that it does cause autism, and one on the hepatitis B vaccine.
I'm sorry, how many? How many studies did it say?
Cause autism, and
Oh, I gotta go back a little further.
it found 2 studies, one on the DTP vaccine, that showed that it does cause autism, and one on the hepatitis B vaccine. That again suggests
Three studies against a myriad of studies, hundreds of studies, with a larger pool of people, a better methodology. Yeah, 2 and 1 whole studies against hundreds of studies saying you're wrong.
that it does cause autism. The Institute of Medicine dismissed those 2 studies because they were based on CDC's database. The studies that you're referring to are all for one vaccine, the MMR vaccine, or one ingredient, thimerosal.
So you are actually looking at, you're starting new studies to try to link autism, but you're also telling me—
I'm not trying to link autism to anything.
Yes, he is. He absolutely is. He's absolutely trying.
I'm trying to find out, why is autism gone
Are you
from
also
less
trying
than
to,
why
are you
is
also trying
autism
to find
gone?
out how it—
Why is autism increased? It's not increased. Autism probably, to be honest, is going to stagnate out and stay the same. What it has done is we've been able to diagnose it better. We're able to recognize it earlier in children. We're able to recognize it and diagnose it faster in children, let alone in people, women. Women, the signs of autism in women are completely different than boys and men. And it is harder to diagnose, and we are now learning how to do so. So it seems like the rate is increasing when really what it is our science is better at diagnosing now.
interacts with
Yes, just like left-handedness. Once we decided that left-handedness was no longer the work of the devil, Bobby Boucher, all of a sudden a shit ton of people were left-handed. Do you think that all of a sudden magically, people were born left-handed, or was it just that they were like, hey, they're not going to burn me at the stake for being left-handed anymore? Maybe it was that.
people's DNA, what's predisposed to have an autistic child? Are you doing both?
Yeah, but Dana, you probably don't understand this because you're not a scientist, but
Well,
genes
you're not
don't
either.
cause.
You don't understand this because you're not a scientist. Neither are you, bitch. You are a environmental lawyer. You're not a doctor. You're not a scientist. You're not a virologist.
Genes don't cause
I understand. Genes,
They can provide a
epidemics.
vulnerability.
Genes cause epidemics. We're calling autism an epidemic. We are equating it to a disease when people are just born with autism. It is insanity. Insanity. It is eugenics, by the way. In case nobody's told you, this fight that they have with autism is eugenics. Trying to pinpoint it to something you can cure and solve is eugenics.
A gene provides an environmental.
exposure.
That's what I'm asking. Are you studying the environmental
We're looking
exposure?
at all the different environmental exposures, but your statement, you have been fooled. Your statement that this has been studied is not true. It's categorical.
It has been studied. It has been studied. That's bullshit. Bullshit.
It is
Not true.
considered.
Not for any of this stuff.
It is considered.
Considered by
decided
who?
By every scientist who has studied this.
That is not.
Again, she's not as prepared as she should be. And that's disappointing because when you have like the American Pediatrics, when you have the WHO, when you have all of these organizations in scientific consensus that vaccines do not cause autism, she should be able to reference it better.
True. I can give you hundreds of scientists who have looked at this.
So why the fuck are we talking about Kamala Harris, Bobcat? Why the fuck are we bringing up Kamala Harris's policy positions? We're talking about health and this brain worm riddled idiot talking about health.
On the one hand, do you understand why people aren't
National
getting?
Academy of Sciences. What greater authority
Do you
have
understand why people?
Oh, now we're appealing to authority. But we like the International Academy of Sciences because they agree with our way of thinking, but not the other boards on health. We don't agree with them because they disagree with us. Okay.
People are not getting measles vaccines because they're hearing you say
No, Chris, I need Mehdi Hassan to interview him. That's what I need.
that it could
You're
cause
trying
autism.
to change the subject.
I'm not. It's very much
Yeah, you are.
related.
Show me one of the studies that's been done on the first 8 the vaccines during the first 6 months of life. You will
So
not
fucking
find them.
angry.
The National Academy of Sciences
So
say
if that's
they
the
do not
case, then why are
exist.
you telling people to get the,
The
measles
people,
vaccine?
because that is one of the vaccines that has been studied.
Okay.
It's the only one that has been studied.
That's
Do you want people to get the MMR vaccine?
Yeah, I said that already.
Okay, so
I know you're flustered now, and it is.
I don't.
it
I'm
is
not flustered at
frustrating
all.
because
I am
people
Bitch,
are
frustrated.
who's
being
flustered?
honest
The
with
reason
you.
I'm frustrated is because
you repeat
you
things
are
that
the
the experts say
HHS.
as-
You are the HHS secretary, and you are talking about things that lead to vaccine hesitancy in this country, and it is something that causes problems for people
Let me
when
ask
there
you.
is.
It causes harm. It causes harm in our nation when people don't feel like they are being told the right information and they stop vaccinating their children. It causes harm to the greater of society for our health when people aren't getting vaccinated for things that have been studied. It causes harm to the children with autism who need funding, okay, maybe for a BCBA, depending on where on the spectrum they rely, what they need in way of education and the funding in regards to that. If we pull back from it and claim it as some sort of disease, versus something that you're born with. It's trying to act as if there's a cure, as if there's a correlation between vaccines and autism. It harms society to do so. And you are in charge of HHS.
Not anything.
Let me ask you something. Do you see your job as ending vaccine hesitancy, or do you see your job as telling the truth to the American people?
I see my job as telling the.
I don't know how she's going to answer. I will let her answer, but I'm going to say I see it as both. They go hand in hand. Her job is to tell the truth, and that truth is to stop vaccine hesitancy.
Truth, and the truth is that there is study after study after study. It's one of the most studied things out there in science.
You're repeating
and it
it
is
like a parrot. You're repeating
So are
it
you.
like a parrot.
Because you're not fucking listening. She's repeating it because you're not listening.
So are
I've
you.
actually read the science.
By the way, look how far out. If you're studying body language, he's losing this conversation. Because why is he so far out over the desk?
Let's you
You
and
don't
I
wanna-
come
you don't
back
wanna-
here and debate the
So
science.
I'm not debating this with you.
Of course you won't.
No, because
Because she's a fucking news anchor asking you questions. It's not a fucking debate stage. She knows she's not a doctor. She also knows you're not a doctor. So she's not debating it with you.
I'm not
all
debating.
you know how to
also-
do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID.
You want us to trust experts. You want us to trust 2 in 1 whole study of experts, but you don't want to trust the scientific consensus of experts. Make it make sense.
Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about
Bullshit! Bullshit! He's gonna list them. Go.
mass, about social distancing.
He wasn't lying. He was giving recommendations to help the public with health based off of the information he had at the time. That's not a lie. It is not a fucking lie to say, based off of the scientific information we have at the time, it is best to mask, which, by the way, was never a lie. It was still always best to mask. What we learned is that some masks are better than others. If you don't want masks, tell your surgeon when they're doing open heart surgery on you not to wear a mask. I dare you. Tell him to sneeze right up in that bitch while you're at it. He didn't lie about masks. He had the information he had at the time, and we learned about masks. Social distancing was not a lie. He used what he had in the information he had at the time to say that social distancing was a better idea. Ew, Monty, what'd I do? He didn't lie. He gave recommendations based off of the information we had at the time.
About natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying.
Oh, sneezing into an open heart surgery wound? Sneezing into open heart surgery? Yeah, it's gross.
And you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again.
Yes.
What ability did she have to punish people? She wasn't punishing people. She was pointing out that they were wrong and lying, that they were wrong, that their science was contested. That's what she was pointing out.
To talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job, to talk to people.
Your job is to
Am I
tell the
allowed to
truth
talk?
to the American
Yes,
public.
yes. And my job
And
is
to
to
be-
get as
and
much
to-
information as I
And
can.
to maintain
what we were doing,
a posture
what we were
of
doing,
fear, skepticism
what we
toward
were
government
doing
authority.
in COVID.
He's crashing out.
And still, with regard to these vaccines, is getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And sir, what you are doing is causing
getting the best
information
science
to
from
be out
somebody
there that
who's
is
lying
not
to you.
accurate.
Prove that. You were giving out information from someone who was lying to you. Who? What doctor? What study? Oh, you're talking about Anthony Fauci? He wasn't lying. He wasn't lying about masks. He wasn't lying about social distancing. He was giving the information that he had at the time.
Who was lying to
The
you?
National Academy of Sciences, which you just cited, in November, said we support the statement that vaccines do not cause autism.
Oops. He cited the National Academy of Sciences. They said vaccines do not cause autism.
It's
lying to
not
you.
accurate.
Who was lying to
The
you?
National Academy of Sciences, which you just cited, in November, said we support the statement that vaccines do not cause autism. This is the National Academy of Sciences that you just talked about.
Look at the National Academy of Science most recent report.
Okay.
And you'll see.
I want to ask you one other question, because it's something that
If we could find that most recent report, I would love to have it. I love sitting through and reading this stuff.
really did help Donald Trump get elected, and that is the MAHA movement, and specifically the question of processed foods.
Of what?
Processed foods, and the fact that people want to feel that their food is safe. My understanding is that you're pushing for reforms on food safety and ultra-processed foods that have been slowed, in some cases blocked, by people in the administration
Timothy, no,
who
they
are
didn't.
working on behalf of the industry. Is that true?
No, that is not true.
So you feel that you'll be able to get these reforms done without any problems?
Vincent, are you in my Discord? If not, you should be. I know you're in Hector's. Do I need to send you an invite?
I think the two big reforms that you're probably talking about is ultra-processed food definition
Exactly.
and the GRAS standards.
Yes.
And they've both gone through extensive interagency process. I'm very confident that we will get them both out there within probably a month.
Well, I'm sorry that this, and that's good news for people who are very moms, and I'm one of them, who are very worried about making sure that our kids eat food and we eat food that is healthy. I'm sorry that this turned into a very contentious conversation, and my job is to try to get the best information out there, and it does concern me when you come in and say things that have,
Your
take what you're
experts
saying
don't
have been
agree with.
people who have scientific backgrounds, and who I know have tried to talk to you as well. Thank you for coming in. Up next, he helped lead the Biden administration.
So she did have a doctor on later that I didn't get a chance to get to, speaking out with that. So I would like to have that information. I'll look into that later to get that, but I wanted to play that whole thing. When I put this in the outline, it's going to have a couple of the clips from the entire interview, but at least then you'll have the entire interview. So I do want to show what the time that we have. I didn't think I would stop it that much, but he pissed me off. So there's that. We had this. Measles tracker, follow cases, outbreaks, and vaccination rates across the U.S. This was started in April of 2025, but it is constantly updated. The last update was July 24th of 2026. Measles, one of the most contagious viruses in the world, is regularly infecting people in the U.S. again. Now remember, RFK Jr. is claiming, I know she's trying to be professional, but he didn't deserve an apology. No, not at all. Fuck that guy. Trying to claim that COVID lockdowns and lack of vaccination during COVID lockdowns is the reason that we have an increase. So let's look at that. Already in 2026, more than 2,300 cases have been counted, making 2026 the 2-year for measles infections in the U.S. since 2000. So unfortunately, what we have is we're going to have 2024, 2025, and 2026. We don't, I'm sure we have, this is according to, this is according to the CDC. I'm sure we could go back and see prior years, but even this should be an indication to you, right? We started to see an increase. This blue line is 2024. You started to see an increase under the Biden administration, but even so, it was 283 cases for the entirety of the year. So it was pretty stagnant, right? It was pretty stagnant. In 2025, all of a sudden we see that jump. It just fucking jumps. That's this green line. All of a sudden, all the way up. We had 2,287 cases for the entirety of the year, okay? Then you go to this orange line, which is 2026, and this is just so far. So far, we have 2,318 cases. We have surpassed the amount of measles cases in 2025 total already in July. And the year's not even over. Measles case counts reached a 34-year high last year, and 7 months into 2026, this year's total is even higher. You can get into the weekly in way of 2025 into 2026. We can see in January, we had this giant spike. The disease epicenter at the start of the year was in South Carolina, where the CDC has confirmed 600 plus measles cases. As of late January, more than 500 people were in quarantine and hundreds infected in the state, as Lakin pointed out. State officials declared the South Carolina outbreak over in April. So here's where you see the most of the cases. We got a lot in Utah as well, quite a few in Texas, Virginia. So you measles cases in the U.S. since 2000. This will be a great place to go because he said it went up because of lockdowns. That's interesting. Where's the giant increase because of lockdowns? Oh, sorry. You guys can't see it as well for the years. Where's the big giant increase in lockdowns, in measles cases because of the lockdown? Where's that at? I wonder. Huh. Interesting. Maybe it's because it's not there. You have the U.S. measles map in way of cases. You can go into exemptions, exemption laws. Colorado's really bad for that. We're really, really bad for that. We have a really, really low rate of vaccination in Colorado. For being a blue state, we're really, really bad about that. So, gives you that information. You guys can look that up, read at your leisure, use it as a source. We love that. Love to be able to do that. That was more of that. I'll put that in a different spot when I put it here. And then just to show you that, again, they're not actually doing anything they said they are. Here's Donald Trump asking RFK Jr. in that cabinet meeting if he's getting that information on vaccines and autism that he asked for.
Well, thank you, Mr. President.
How are you doing on the autism research?
We will have an answer for you. We just got
That's so important.
We will have an answer for you. When? When?
Okay, we'll be talking about that. We'll be having something of interest. Such an important thing. There's a picture of your uncle right there on the wall. I know. He's looking handsome.
It's such an important thing. We're going to talk about JFK now.
And that's quite a picture. Did you see it?
Yeah.
So maybe that gave you the idea to start out that way, but it's quite a picture.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I'm sure that we will get that information. Jesus, it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. Let's see if I can. I wanted to show this. Let me see if I can real quick as we get out of here. As we start to get ready to get out of here. Where is it was. What did I have to look up specifically? I remember. Okay. So this is, by the way, this is Rand Paul's release of Anthony Fauci's diary pages. I have them. You can have access to them too. Rand Paul released them. It even says, released by Chairman Rand Paul. So I wanted to point this part out. This is a entry from Fauci. November 16th of 2020, global 40,300,000, 1,300,000, USA 11,246,000. Now, I'm not sure exactly what he's citing there, but he is. Continual surge, 138,000 new infections yesterday. POTUS, that's President of the United States, has no interest at all in the pandemic. This was in November. He is focusing on blocking Biden from being POTUS. He is embarrassing the USA. However, 72 million voted for him. Difficult to understand, craziness has overtaken part of our country. I just want to show you. You can talk shit on Fauci all you want to. The president had no interest in the pandemic. He was too busy going after Biden after he lost. Just too busy doing that. A couple other clips. This was part of the, I guess you can call it a testimony that Fauci did. He didn't answer anything because he invoked the Fifth. But this is Ron Johnson and an incorrect claim. We're just going to point out misinformation here.
We haven't acknowledged these injection injuries. These people can't get treatment. They're being gaslit by their doctors. So it's all in your head. The rate of the injection injured of suicides is increasing because they've given up hope.
I would like to see this information. There is an increase in suicides that are correlated with vaccine-injured people. Where'd that come from, Ron Johnson?
Because our medical establishment and federal health agencies completely failed them, failing to acknowledge it. So again, Dr.
He just made a fucking claim. Where did that come from? Where did that claim come from? I'm just asking questions. Where'd it come from? Here is... So then Ron Johnson brings up this lovely chart about medication deaths and tries to compare it to the vaccine.
Put up the last COVID chart. I was warned pretty early on about the dangers of the experimental gene therapy. That
it wasn't experimental. We'd been studying this for decades. That's silly.
You've called a vaccine, but it really...
Guys, I don't think we're not hitting 300,000. That's very disappointing that Mia yelling at you didn't work. Can we at least complete these rosas, please? That would be wonderful if we could do that.
Falls under the definition of gene therapy. So I was going to ask you, I mean, were you carefully monitoring?
Now, I'll let him talk. I'm going to let him finish, and then we'll go back.
The safety surveillance systems like VAERS and vSafe that literally were deluged with complaints. Currently, worldwide, there have been almost 1.7 million adverse events reported to the VAERS system. Of those, over 39,000 were deaths. And of those deaths, 24% occur on the day of vaccination within 1 or 2 days. 24%, which, by the way, just happens to be the same percentage that a Rasmussen poll pointed out. The American public believe 24% of the American public believe they know somebody who died of the experimental gene therapy.
I'm sorry, repeat that survey again?
Know somebody pointed out the American public believe 24% of the American public believe they know somebody who died of the experimental gene therapy.
24%, not anywhere near a majority. Thank you, yeah, Blue. 24% of Americans. This is why I need you guys to listen to them talk, because you hear percentages and you're like, aha! 24% of Americans believe, with the feelings in their tum-tum, that they know someone who died of experimental gene therapy. We're citing that as factual evidence. And also, yes, it's not gene therapy. It's not fucking gene therapy. But they believe that they know someone. What?
Therapy. So again, I was certainly interested in asking you whether or not you were following this as carefully as I was. It was not my responsibility to follow safety surveillance systems, but I did.
All right, so let's look at this chart. Let me put it
percent
so that it's bright. All right, I just want to point something out to you because I know we were all listening. Thank you for actively listening to what he said. Drug adverse event comparison, FDA and CDC data worldwide. This is adverse events related to drugs. He's pointing out COVID vaccines. Adverse effects were listed, and I would like to see again also the source for this. If it's fucking VAERS, I'm going to lose it. But 1,677,227 adverse events reported. If it's reported, it's VAERS. It's fucking VAERS. Which means this is self-reported. This is people saying, I had an adverse reaction because of the COVID vaccine, not diagnosed by a doctor, just to be clear. It's got to be VAERS. But even so, the self-report on deaths would be 39,182. Okay. That's less deaths than the use of ivermectin. That's less deaths than hydroxychloroquine, less deaths than the flu vaccine, and less deaths than dexamethasone. Oh, no. You know what there's more deaths from, though? Tylenol. Like, what was the point of this shit? What was the point of this chart? But again, I think it's VAERS, so it doesn't really matter, because it would be a self-report anyway. Ron Johnson's an idiot. He's an idiot. And then this is the last one that I have for you today. Donald Trump was on here, and he was reminded, apparently, I showed you guys this last week, but he was reminded that he gave Fauci a presidential commendation.
You actually gave him a presidential commendation.
This was on with Megyn Kelly. This is CNN reporting it from Megyn Kelly.
You actually gave him a presidential commendation before you left office. Wouldn't you like a do-over on that?
I don't know who gave him the commendation. I really don't know who gave him the commendation.
Presidential commendation. One went out to Mark
Somebody
Milley, too.
probably handed him a commendation.
Oh, like AutoPen? Did the AutoPen give him a commendation? Somebody handed it to him. It's a presidential commendation. It comes from the president of the United States of America. If he doesn't know who gave it to him, if somebody just gave it to him within his administration, it sounds like he was mentally unwell. Sounds like he was not mentally acute to be able to give out commendations or be president in his first term. It sounds like his mental acuity was down. Sounds like he wasn't mentally there to be president. Maybe it was the AutoPen. Maybe somebody used the AutoPen without Trump's express permission to give Fauci a presidential commendation. It's interesting. The only reason I'm not playing the rest of the clip is because it's CNN talk, and we don't need that. What? I don't know who gave it to him. It was somebody. Somebody did it. All right. Thank you guys so much, by the way. Thank you, Vincent. I have that pulled up. I think this is the one she was citing. I will put this up, actually. I think this is the one she was citing, because she said in November. And so he said, check the updated one. The last update was November. So this would be the one that she cited. Statement on CDC's changes to guidance on vaccines and autism. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention this week cited some of our work and new guidance related to vaccines and autism. However, the citations do not provide the greater context of the full body of work on vaccine safety that is essential for informed debate about this topic. It is important to point out that the 2012 Institute of Medicine report assessing adverse effects of vaccines and cited by the CDC found that very few health problems are caused by or clearly associated with vaccines. Further, based on our body of work on this topic and the overwhelming scientific consensus, we support the statement that vaccines do not cause autism. RFK Jr. in that interview with Dana Bash said, check the updated one. The most updated one we have for the National Academy of Sciences, which is what he cited, is last updated November 23rd of 2025, and they say we support the statement that vaccines do not cause autism. Maybe don't cite sources, RFK, MAGA, that disprove yourself. Maybe don't fucking do that. Maybe don't do that. Anyways, we had 64 left in the goal that we did not seem to get accomplished today. We did not hit 300,000 likes that we should have been able to get accomplished today. We did not hit the rosas that we should have been able to get accomplished today. Frustrating, to say the least. I know it's Monday. I know we're shaking off the weekend blues, those Sunday blues, but we should have been able to get that accomplished. We should have been a lot closer. At least should have been able to get the likes. I understand financial situations. So we should have at least been able to get the likes. The likes are your fault? Yeah, it's totally, Eli, yeah, completely your fault. It was your fault. That's why. What do you mean? My goodness. Thank you so much to Surgeon for gifting 5 subs over here on Twitch. If you guys received a sub from Surgeon, please make sure that you are giving them a thank you in the chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Forcing them to subscribe to me. We love a little forcing, a little gift. We love that. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate this community so much for jumping in and bringing up sources when we're talking about a subject that, I will be honest, I haven't researched in a long time. It's been a long time since I've read COVID studies. It's been a long time since we've had to talk about this. As somebody pointed out on Twitter, this administration's policies in the second term are so bad that they have to bring up 2020 again. That they have to bring up COVID again. That's how bad it is. They have to bring up COVID again. So that's interesting. All right, this week we will see what we get into. I've got stuff. It's old stuff, but we just haven't gotten to it. So we'll see what we get into. We'll see what fresh hells await us with this administration. Phone. Okay, I'm being yelled at. Thank you, Mia, for the $30 because I want you to talk to me more. You don't have to pay me to talk to you. I love you and I'm going to talk to you. I texted you back this morning and I still don't know what you mean. I texted you back with a question because I don't understand. But thank you, Mia. I love you so much. You know, you can talk to me anytime. Text, Discord, whatever. We literally talked yesterday. We did. Well, I got lunch. I got shy. I love you. You're so funny. Who are we rating over here on TikTok? And who are we rating on YouTube and Twitch? Probably RTP. We're probably rating RTP. On YouTube and Twitch. Let's see who we got here. Yeah, so we'll raid Twista. What's her? Which one is she on? I think the same one we've been on. Yes. Okay, so YouTube and Twitch. I'm going to get you set up here so that we can go raid RTP. I did research because it's my favorite thing. I dropped it in the Discord. Thank you. I saw it. I'm going to read that later. I'm adding it into this shit with these doctors that I have to look at too. Twitch and YouTube, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. I'm going to go send you to RTP now. You guys will have a whole bunch of fun with him, I'm sure. And remember that I am live Monday through Friday, so I'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Whatever time that is for you in your woke time zone, but 9 a.m. Mountain Time is when I will be live back again to do the thing.